freedomsummitchicago.com. Sponsored in part by attorney Stephen A. Leahy at Opum Tax Advocates and by Valdecas Incorporated Windows and Doors.
Balance of nature. Fruits and veggie supplements are packed with 31 frightfully good whole fruit and vegetable ingredients. Our blends help maintain your overall well-being. From the deep red cranberry to the rustic green cabbage, our special formula is no trick. Dare to discover the magical blends within. Open and sprinkle our fruits supplement powder into your cauldron brew, aka morning smoothie, or add our veggie supplement powder to your spooktacular concoction. Soup, we mean soup. This Halloween, treat yourself to a potion of wellness that's wickedly good with Balance of Nature.
Go to balanceofnature.com to get 35% off your first order as a preferred customer with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. And get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
So the body knows that it needs to heal itself, but it doesn't know how to concentrate it and target it into just one area. So that's where we come in.
By we, Dr. Ashley Caravelli means the nation's leader in regenerative medicine, QC Kinetics.
We put in those treatments, then it sends out like little signalers to your body. We're able to make the body focus on the areas that need the most healing.
QC Kinetics has gathered brilliant medical minds like Dr. Caravelli and Dr. Mitchell Scheinkup, a pioneer in the field of regenerative medicine, to lead the way in these innovative pain treatments.
So at QC Kinetics, we have a whole team working nationwide with cutting-edge research to reach our patients and treat them and know that surgery is no longer their only option.
The consultation is free. Find out if you're a candidate. Call QC Kinetics today.
Call QC Kinetics, 312-809-5955. That's 312-809-5955.
Gibson, an AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. I'm not surprised by the approach the Chicago police brass have taken in this case of this guy who went on a shooting rampage in West Rogers Park, including shooting a Jewish gentleman who was on his way to synagogue. And now we find more details that the guy shot him in the shoulder and he was standing over him. He was going to shoot him at point-blank range, essentially execute him, but the gun jammed. And then a neighbor ran out, and the Jewish gentleman was able to get away. The assailant ran away and then opened fire on first responders, too. He's charged with attempted murder and aggravated discharge of a firearm against police and fire personnel.
And allegedly he came back, so he did the shooting, then he came back and shot at first responders.
And so I'm not surprised that they're taking this approach, but it's a little disappointing, I have to say. You have higher hopes for Larry Snelling from all the good things that people who have served with him in Chicago police say about him. But this was the press conference yesterday, the pertinent part in terms of the identification of the assailant.
There was something stated from that individual while he was exchanging gunfire with officers.
What did he say?
And if I may, Chief Ursitti, you want to talk a little bit about that?
Sure, without getting into anything too much, the statement that was made while he was engaging our officers is nothing that we could bring in as evidence at this point that would support any motive against his actions towards our officers as well as towards our victim.
Was it believed to be English, another language? What did he say?
Just say it. I mean,
we're not going to be able to put out that information right now because I want to make sure I'm not misstating anything, and so we can coordinate through the Office of News Affairs, because I am certainly not going to misspeak and have there be any misunderstanding about the statement. So as appropriate, we will get that information out through News Affairs.
And then, is the suspect a resident of Chicago? Is the suspect a citizen of this country?
That is still under investigation right now. Right now, we're trying to identify a valid address. So we're still working on that information right now.
How soon could you make a decision about whether hate crime charges will be recommended?
When evidence of the facts present themselves.
So here's what we understand to be true. And by the way, it's not just us. There are members of the Jewish community in West Rogers Park that are calling for hate crime charges. Not that I believe in such things, but the point is the truth of what occurred that day, what that guy did. And it's been reported that he allegedly shouted Allahu Akbar.
Yes, multiple times. Alderman Silverstein, she was at that press conference too, not begging, but saying, I hope that this is escalated, not six attempts of murder, first-degree murder, but this is escalated to a hate crime. But they know I know that they know what he said. Why can't they just admit it? Why are we protecting the suspect again? Is it because he's Muslim and they're afraid that, there might be some unrest, especially coming up, to the election? I don't know what is wrong with them. They know better.
No, it's not that he's Muslim. It's that he's apparently an illegal migrant.
Okay.
I have, and I tweeted out yesterday, so concurrent to Snelling's press conference, and I got it from a reliable CPD source. So if I have it from the Chicago police, then Snelling has it, and he's not being honest. And that's the problem. The individual is apparently an illegal immigrant from Mauritania who was arrested. So the conversation we had yesterday about that small town in Ohio that's being overrun by migrants who are under legal protection, apparently, at least mostly, but nonetheless, 3,000 over the last year in a town of 3,500 people in small town Ohio from Mauritania, which is a Northwest African country that has lots of problems, including it is one of the largest countries in the world, particularly on a per capita basis, that still has slaves, estimated between 90 and 100,000. So I understand why people want to flee, and I don't fault them. However, this individual was apparently arrested in San Diego in March of last year and was supposed to be deported. So it doesn't sound like he was here under any temporary protected status, not to mention he was arrested in San Diego. It's unclear, if my understanding from the CPD source who communicated with me, unclear if he was deported or just made his way to our sanctuary city called Chicago to just maintain his residency in this country. He obtained a driver's license in Illinois, even though he's been arrested in San Diego. He was scheduled to be deported. Obtained an Illinois driver's license in May of 2024. And bought a purple Mazda that was located at the scene. So this is the guy. And this is the background. And if I have the background, as I said once more, then Larry Snelling done. And he's not being honest. And this is why he's not being honest, is because you don't want a high-profile case of somebody in this country illegal who shouldn't be in here, who's hiding out in a sanctuary city, and who almost killed a bunch of people, including first responders. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro, answer line and text line.
And also, to pile on top of that issue, the fact that they're not calling it a hate crime. If this was a black man victim and a white person shooting him suspect, this would already be a hate crime. This is an obvious.
Just pump the brakes. I don't believe in this category of crimes called hate crimes. So that should not be. There should not be statutory crimes.
Well, it sounds like that's important to the Jewish community, according to their alderman.
Yeah, I get it.
Well, can I just finish what I was going to say?
Can I finish what I was going to say about hate crimes, and then you can talk?
Yes, okay, go.
Christ's sake.
Christ is with us always, Dan.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
No. Snelling said yesterday that they're not charging him with a hate crime because they haven't been able to interview him yet.
I heard him. I just played the fracking clip.
I know, but you don't need to interview him to know that it's a hate crime.
It's not the point. Is that what did he say? And regardless of what you believe about hate crimes, my point was to say, yeah, everybody wants a hate crime charge because it's just more identitarian politics. The crime is the behavior. The motivation is interesting, but the crime is the behavior, and making these decisions based on what constitutes a hate-driven crime. Every crime is a hate-driven crime, whether it's based on racial or religious motivation or because you don't like the guy. So it's just a nonsensical leftist identitarian politicization of the criminal code. That's my point.
I agree, but the Jewish
And
community
so
wants that right now.
I understand that. Of course I understand that. Once you establish it as a area of the criminal code, then every person who has their race or religion invoked is going to want the same treatment under the law. I get it. I'm just saying it is chasing our tail. That's the point. Of course, the Jewish community is calling for it. And just like the Muslim community would be calling for it if it was the opposite. Just like the whites call for it when it's black on white crime and blacks call for it when it's white on black crime. Obviously, that's the whole point. My whole point. Thank you for letting me sort of make it. Patrick in Glenview.
Made your point?
Yeah, good morning. My question is, if you shoot the bullet at the Jewish guy, it goes through the Jewish guy and fatally wounds a Christian. Is that still a hate crime?
Right. Thanks for the call, Patrick. Matt in Mount Greenwood.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. You know, one of the first responsibilities of government is to protect the citizenry. Dan, I don't know. Is there any legal recourse taxpayers and citizens, legal citizens, can take against these leftist politicians and police forces who fail to do their due diligence and do their job for us?
Yeah, I mean it's a good question. It's the problem is the sovereign immunity that these public officials enjoy for anything that constitutes their an act in furtherance of their public responsibilities that is at their discretion. I mean, the bar is just really, really high for prosecutorial misconduct or civil exposure for police or politicians for a policy decision or professional judgment they make. And I understand why that's the case, because otherwise you'd open up a whole nother area of frivolous litigation at the hands of these obnoxious predatory trial lawyers. So, the way to hold them accountable, I mean, it doesn't come immediately, and it may not come ever in Chicago, but it is at the ballot box. If these are the leaders you choose, then this is the leadership you're going to get, and that's just the end of it. Craig in Mount Greenwood.
Hey, good morning, Dan and Amy, and thanks for taking my call. I'm just trying to wrap my head around and understand. You brought up a couple things there, Dan. You were asking the question kind of like is this a sanctuary city? Is this protected status involved here? Whatever. You telling me, and I'm trying to understand. So these cats can come into our country, kill people, run them over drunk, do whatever they want, to beat the hell out of people, steal, rob, do everything, and somehow or another they're not under the same thing as a Christian white guy, where they take and tell you everything about the guy's himself, his family, everything, lock him up, throw the key away, and everything like that. And these people can just run roughshod over our country. How does it work with this thing, Dan? You got to explain it to us out here, because I sure can't.
There's an election on Tuesday. You can't have an illegal kill a Jewish person.
Thanks for the call, Craig.
It's not a good look.
I think you just explained it, Craig. Dan and Amy, Chicago's Morning Answer.
Connect with Dan and Amy on the AM 560 The Answer mobile app. Just text the word app to 64636 to download the app today.
Dennis Prager here. Join me on an unforgettable cruise to the Caribbean this November. We'll cruise to the vibrant islands of Half Moon Cay, Curacao, Bonaire, Turks and Caicos, and much more. We'll be joined by special guest Sean McDowell, and we'll both be sharing insights into current events in a way I hope energizes and challenges you. Secure your spot before space runs out by calling 855-565-5519 or book online at pragercruise.com.
A great smile can make you feel happy and confident. So when you consciously conserve your teeth, that glowing smile will show through. At Best Dental Group, doctors Economos, Gavalis, and their staff are ready to help you create that perfect look or maintain the one you have now. Along with general dentistry, Best Dental Group is a multidiscipline practice with an orthodontist, periodontist, and prosthetic specialists on site. They use the newest breakthroughs in dental technology such as titanium implants, Invisalign clear braces, and laser treatments. Don't let fear get in the way. They can recommend sedation to make your experience as comfortable as possible. Best Dental Group is located in historic downtown Bartlett and is a multilingual office. Call 630-830-4930, 630-830-4930, or visit bestdental.org. Best Dental Group, sharing your conservative values and helping you to conserve your teeth.
Hey, buddy. Good to see you back on the golf course. You must be feeling better, huh?
Yeah, I finally got my blood pressure under control without all the medication side effects.
Wow. New doctor?
No, a superfood juice, believe it or not.
A juice?
Yeah, it's called 120 Life. It's got ingredients like pomegranates, tart cherries, 6 natural ingredients that have shown to control blood pressure.
Huh.
Yeah, it tastes great and has worked wonders.
Awesome. Are you getting a golf cart?
Nope, I'm walking the course today.
Wow. You got any of that 120 Life on you?
Try 120 Life risk-free and get a 2-week trial pack. Order the 8-ounce drink or powdered mix. Go to 120life.com and use coupon code 560 to save 15% and get free shipping. They're so sure it can noticeably lower your blood pressure in 2 weeks, they'll give your money back if you're not satisfied. Order now. 120life.com. Use coupon code 560 at checkout to save 15% and get free shipping.
AM 560, The Answer.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
At 5:38, since Superintendent Snelling doesn't want us to talk about crime committed by illegal immigrants in this country, we'll continue to talk about it. The Trump campaign releases a brutal video featuring Alexis Nungaray, the mom of Jocelyn Nungaray, the 12-year-old who was murdered by 2 Tren de Aragua gangbangers in this country illegally. We'll start with that video at 5:38.
Oh, and he promised he wouldn't do it. He promised he wouldn't raise property taxes, but that's exactly what Mayor Johnson is going to propose on Wednesday. Now let's head into the newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
70 degrees at 5:33. Former Trump advisor Steve Bannon is set to be released from prison today. Bannon will have served his 4-month prison term on 2 counts of contempt of Congress for allegedly failing to comply with the subpoena related to January 6. Vice President Kamala Harris has a major speech planned for today in the nation's capital, just a week ahead of Election Day.
My opponent spends full time talking about just kind of diminishing who we are as America and talking down at people.
An estimated 20,000 expected to gather at the Ellipse near the White House for a closing argument speech. Police in Texas have arrested 3 major suspects, suspected all with ties to the violent Tren de Aragua gang from Venezuela. Fox's Madeline Rivera joins us this morning with the very latest.
3 suspects are waiting to be extradited to Texas after police say they shot and killed a man in Dallas about 2 months ago. 38-year-old Ejiker Alexander Morales Mendoza, 25-year-old Carlos Luis Zambrano Bolivar, and 22-year-old Janata Nahin Toro Gonzalez are charged with capital murder and aggravated kidnapping. Authorities say around 12:30 a.m. on August 24, the suspects abducted a man, Neil Zolt Arnaud Petit, and 2 juveniles from an apartment complex in Dallas. The suspects allegedly drove the 3 to a location in Farmers Branch and shot Petit. They then left with the 2 juveniles, who they later released unharmed on a highway.
Meanwhile, Texas Governor Greg Abbott this morning will challenge the Biden-Harris administration to declare Tren de Aragua as a foreign terror organization. Billionaire Elon Musk being sued by a Philly prosecutor over his $1 million giveaway for registered voters. Quarter Pounders back on the menu at all McDonald's this week following an E. coli outbreak that may be linked to slivered onions on those Quarter Pounders. Forecasters are tracking what could become the next tropical depression or major storm. National Hurricane Center says the system is forming in the Caribbean. There's a red flag fire warning for most of us until 9 tonight. Mayor Brandon Johnson will stick it to overwhelmed Chicago taxpayers again and propose another property tax hike when he lays out his budget plan to the city council Wednesday. Sources say the mayor's briefed some aldermen already on that plan. The mayor's budget address will be followed by budget hearings. By ordinance, a budget must be passed by the end of December. A man has been charged in connection with a shooting involving Chicago police officers that occurred on the north side on Saturday. Alderwoman Deborah Silverstein.
This past Saturday, immediately after the global Jewish community observed Simchat Torah, a holiday celebrating the joy of being Jewish, a Jewish resident of the 50th Ward was targeted with violence.
22-year-old Sadi Muhammad Abdullahi has been charged with multiple felonies, including attempted murder. The Bulls winners over the Grizzlies last night, 126-123. The Blackhawks snapped their four-game losing skid with a 5-2 win over Colorado. World Series. The Dodgers could sweep their way to a crown after beating the Yankees 4-2 last night. They have a commanding 3-0 series lead. The news service of almostfreeteeth.com. Overpaying for dental implants is over. If you have a Blue Cross, Blue Shield, PPO, or FEP, you can save 90% on average to get your smile back. Learn more. Check if you qualify. almostfreeteeth.com. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Dennis Prager doesn't understand the never Trump mind.
I know Harris will ruin my country, but I can't vote for Donald Trump. That is why it is called Trump derangement syndrome. When one abandons rational moral thought on one issue, it is a syndrome.
The Dennis Prager Show. Weekdays at 11, right before Charlie Kirk at 1 on AM 560. The Answer.
This is Carol Platt-Liebau for townhall.com. For years, Republicans asked whether Democrats wanted an open border as a way to import new voters into the American electoral system. Democrats dismissed those questions as nothing more than crazy conspiracy theories. But now in California, Gavin Newsom has just signed legislation that prevents local governments from requiring voters to present identification at the polls. This makes it impossible to ascertain whether illegal immigrants are casting ballots. Likewise, in Virginia, the DOJ is suing to keep non-citizens on the voter rolls. Canceling the registration of suspected non-citizens has been state policy for 18 years. Until now, enforcement hasn't been controversial. Voter integrity matters. What holds our system together is public confidence that those who come up short on Election Day lost fair and square. Measures that undermine voter integrity are what constitute the true threat to American democracy.
As a business owner, do you have a strategy for exiting your business? Most business owners don't. Studies done by the Exit Planning Institute show 75% of business owners who don't have an exit plan are dissatisfied with their exit, and 80% of businesses put to market never sell. Total Clarity Wealth Management understands the hesitation to discuss exiting. Will customers leave? Will competitors take advantage? Will key employees leave? That's why they offer confidential planning. Contact Anne-Marie at Total Clarity Wealth Management. Discover what the financial foundation should be to pursue an exit that is satisfying. At some point, you are going to leave your business. Will it be on your terms? Total Clarity can show you the way to financial readiness and keep you on track. Anne-Marie is a certified exit planning advisor. Visit TotalClarityBusiness.com. That's TotalClarityBusiness.com. Securities offered through LPL Financial, member FINRA SIPC. Investment advice offered through Total Clarity Wealth Management, Inc., a registered investment advisor and separate entity from LPL Financial.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies supplements, changing the world one life at a time.
It's really quite extraordinary, and I'm 68 years old, and I've always been very, very active. My weight is a very good weight. I take care of my home all by myself. I have an acre of land. I'm so sold on this product, I can't tell you.
We love the Balance of Nature. Has been amazing. I keep seeing the ad for it, and I'm like, you know what? It wouldn't hurt to have more fiber. I don't know. We just feel better.
Start your journey with Balance of Nature supplements. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com and sign up as a new preferred customer. And for a limited time, get 35% off your first order with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
Need to hire quality candidates fast? You need Indeed. Our video interview tool makes it easy and effortless to meet with candidates. Visit Indeed.com/credit.
540. Let's get an update on the roads. A service of Valdecas Windows for the discerning homeowner looking for high-quality and professional-level window replacement service. Contact Valdecas Windows, your award-winning Platinum Elite Palace certified contractor. Visit Valdecas.com. Two problem spots, Reagan eastbound, I-88, you're jammed up at Farnsworth with an accident. Veterans I-355, the toll road southbound. You're jammed up from after St. Charles to past Roosevelt due to an overturned pickup. 2 left lanes are blocked. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. Windy with a high of 83 today. Partly cloudy, windy, and warm overnight. Lows 66. 70 right now. Next news coming up at 6. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560. The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. So the murder of Jocelyn Ungary was a topic of conversation in that Bret Baier interview of Kamala Harris a couple weeks back. And she got sort of the brush off, I'm sorry for her loss, without accepting any responsibility. Ungary responded on Fox to that. Exactly, she understood it to be the non-apology that it was. The trying to twist out of any accountability for the policies that this administration has chosen to pursue, and to which Kamala, I should say, Kamala, same thing, to which Kamala still expresses her support. She wouldn't do anything different. No regrets. No mistakes were made.
Doesn't care about all the children who were murdered and young adults by illegals. Doesn't care about the Afghanistan withdrawal. No, she would change nothing, Dan.
Well, this was her in that Bret Baier interview.
Madam Vice President, it was a policy decision in the early part of your administration. I will let one of the mothers talk about it. Take a listen.
Because of the Biden-Harris administration open border policies catch and release, they were enrolled in the Alternatives to Detention program. This meant that they were released into the United States. It was not even a full 3 weeks later that they would take my daughter, Jocelyn Ungary's life. I believe the Biden-Harris administration open border policies are responsible for the death of my daughter.
That's the early days. So do you owe them an apology is what I'm saying.
I will tell you that I am so sorry for her loss. I'm so sorry for her loss. Sincerely. But let's talk about what is happening right now with an individual who does not want to participate in solutions. Let's talk about that as well.
But do you want to answer
in all fairness, I told you, I feel awful for what she and her family have experienced.
That wasn't the question. Your feelings weren't the question. The question is, is the Ungary family owed an apology? Well, this has been updated. Alexis Ungary is not going away. Good for her. The Trump campaign released a video featuring her and her story, and the details are pretty graphic, but this is what it takes, I think, to get through to some people about what's happening in this country that shouldn't be happening to kids, first and foremost.
I woke up to notice she wasn't in her bed. I'm in my heart trying not to lose my mind because I don't know where she is. I finally remembered her phone had a location on, and her phone was pinging just 2 minutes down the road, right behind the skate park. I start driving to the direction the phone was being pinged at, and I see a couple cop cars with lights on. I see yellow tape, and immediately my heart drops and sinks to the bottom of my stomach. My daughter's hands and ankles were both bound. She was strangled to death, left with no pants. And I know in my heart, she fought incredibly hard. She was not going down without a fight.
We begin with two men we're learning are charged with capital murder tonight, accused of killing a 12-year-old girl.
Police say these men strangled her before dumping her into that creek. Both men were in the country illegally.
Apprehended, then released by Border Patrol less than 3 weeks before Jocelyn's death. The men accused of killing Jocelyn Nungare are affiliated with the gang known for brutal violence.
Kamala Harris was in charge of immigration in our borders. If we had better border policies and not open borders and not these catch and release policies, I truly believe this all could have been prevented. Under her being vice president of this country, my daughter's life was ripped away from her. She had her entire life ahead of her.
Happy birthday, dear Jocelyn.
My daughter is 6 feet in the ground based off of policies that she allowed to keep. Kamala Harris did have one job, and she not only failed, not me, she failed my daughter, she failed Jocelyn. You know, she was only 12. President Trump reached out, gave me his sincerest condolences as not a former president, but just as a father, someone who cares. I believe Donald Trump needs to be back in office. I can at least know that my next child will be safe in this country.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer and text line. Yeah, I mean, that's the way it has to be put out. You know, I said this weeks ago that what the Trump campaign should do is just let people, ordinary Americans, let them tell their stories, just platform and amplify their stories, and that's some of what they're doing, and I think it's proper in addition to being effective.
And they lured her into, her mom went to sleep and she went to a convenience store in the corner, and they were there, and you could see video of her going in there with them, and the video is just so heartbreaking, the baby pictures and the videos when she was a kid. But the one line that stuck with a lot of people, when Trump becomes president, at least I'll know that my next child will be safe. That is just, I mean, that cuts straight to the heart. That is, because she is planning on having other kids at some point in time, but she wants to make sure that we have a safe America for her kids, but for all of our children. And Kamala made America dangerous for all Americans.
Well, it's not that Biden and Harris are completely uninterested in illegal immigration. There is a person in this country illegally, or at least he was, who they are concerned about.
He has literally spoken out and said he's opposed to it. And his new the wealthiest man in the world is now his ally, right? Well, that wealthiest man in the world turned out to be a legal worker here when he was here. Oh, I'm serious. He was supposed to be in school when he came on a student visa. He wasn't in school. He was violating the law. And he's talking about all these illegals coming our way.
They are very concerned about illegal immigrant Elon Musk.
Right. He didn't honor his student visa come on. He's one of the richest men in the world, and he's done so much for America. Are you kidding me?
I'm all for enforcing, but the larger point is, hey, you want to start enforcing student visas and travel visas that people overstay? I mean, because there's a ton of illegal immigration that occurs through overstaying visas.
Yeah.
Occurs through our airports, not just our ports at the border. So does that mean, Mr. President, that you want to start really getting after that and enforcing that? Okay, well, I'm good with that. Is that what you're saying? Or do you just want to retroactively enforce it against Elon Musk? Because I'm not good with that, because that's, of course, not equal protection under the law, and it's unequal because it's unequal enforcement of the law. So, rather than rallying to the defense of Elon Musk, he doesn't need people to help him. The implication, you're concerned about it? Well, let's talk. Very concerned about it. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. David in Winnetka.
Hey, good morning, Dan. Good morning, Amy. Unfortunately, I have to deal with these disgusting miscreant swamp donkeys a lot more than I'd like to. When you just ask a basic question to them, like, hey, name one thing that's better now than it was under Trump, and they can't, and they just double down on how horrible he is and blah blah blah. Even this thing, this impactful thing, like your heart, it hurts for this woman and the whole thing. And even with that, it's just there's just no impact with them. The Trump, the TDS thing is real. It exists, and it's insane.
Yeah, well, thanks for the call. We know this. You can't worry about those people, and to the extent that they can't process this sort of reality, you just move on from them, and try not to spend too much time with them and endanger your own mental health. By the way, Elon Musk, he should have been introduced at the MSG rally on Sunday night. It would have been great if they introduced him as a former undocumented worker or undocumented person made good, and just shows you that we're open-minded to pathways to citizenship for tech geniuses.
The energy in this room is incredible. What a great group of people.
All right, I've only got one question for you, and then I'm getting out of here because this is your stage. But we set up Doge.
Yes.
How much do you think we can rip out of this wasted $6.5 trillion Harris-Biden budget?
Well, I think we can do at least $2 trillion.
Yeah!
Yes.
$2 trillion.
I mean, at the end of the day, you're being taxed. You're being taxed. All government spending is taxation. So whether it's direct taxation or all government spending, it either becomes inflation or it's direct taxation. Your money is being wasted, and the Department of Government Efficiency is going to fix that. We're going to get the government off your back and out of your pocketbook. And America's just not just going to be great. America is going to reach heights that it has never seen before. The future is going to be amazing.
Well, it would be a wonderful and bitter twist of irony for a former illegal immigrant, now U.S. citizen, to undo all of the damage and government expansion that was done by one President Biden and, of course, Kamala Harris. Dan and Amy, Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hear about the big stories of the day, then talk about them right here on Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
A large retail store just canceled a huge order, leaving MyPillow with a ton of extra MyPillows. But you know what? That's their loss and your gain. For the first time ever, you'll get a standard classic MyPillow for wholesale prices, only $14.88. But it gets even better. For a limited time, they're going to offer their entire classic collection at wholesale prices. Get queen-size MyPillows for just $18.88. Upgrade to king size for only $1 more. Get the body pillows for $29.88 and multi-use MyPillows for only $9.88. So go to MyPillow.com and use promo code LIBERTY or call 800-489-0201 to take advantage of wholesale pricing for the first time ever and receive free shipping on orders over $75. That's right. Get the standard MyPillow for only $14.88. They have never been offered this low before. They're limited quantities at this price, so the limit is going to be 10, and once they're gone, they're gone. So go to MyPillow.com or call 800-489-0201 and use promo code LIBERTY to get the standard MyPillow for only $14.88, the lowest price ever.
Would you go to court without a lawyer when the other guy is lawyered up? Or are you gonna go it alone and learn law and procedure as you go? When you have an insurance claim for your home or business, it's the same thing.
This is Dan Lights from Crosscom. We inspect your property, file your claim, negotiate the damages, and maximize your settlement with your insurance company.
Insurance companies will send out their inspectors that work for them, get paid by them, and represent them. Not you.
If we complete the repairs approved by your insurance company, our service is free. Crosscom Public Adjusters has turned denied claims into approved claims. We've also increased insurance claims anywhere from 23 to 1,000%, and we could do the same for you. We are licensed by the Department of Insurance and work in Illinois, Northwest Indiana, and Southern Wisconsin. Crosscom Public Adjusters, 630-871-5500. Online at crosscominc.com. That's crosscominc.com. Crosscom, building trust for over 20 years.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies supplements, changing the world one life at a time.
61 years old. I'm doing my first bodybuilding show. I'm going to go straight to a national event. Well, I was a power lifter all my life, and I just lucky a year ago met Mr. Michigan and Mr. Olympia, and they asked me what I was doing, and next thing you know, I'm 4 weeks away from my first on-stage show. I've been taking the Balance of Nature for a long time. It's been incredible.
Start your journey with Balance of Nature supplements. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com and sign up as a new preferred customer. And for a limited time, get 35% off your first order with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code Chicago.
AM 560, The Answer.
Let's take a couple calls. Greg in Schaumburg, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hey, Dan and Amy. Good morning. First of all, along the lines of what Trump should be doing, and it's depressing that he doesn't, where is his HR department that vets comedians and anybody else that's going to participate in this new administration? Because that's the thing that killed him the last time, and they better get it together. Thanks.
Thanks for the call, Greg. You're talking about Tony Hinchcliffe, who was at Madison Square Garden. We're going to talk about that at 6 o'clock.
Okay.
I can't believe that we have to explain comedy to people, but I know this is the country we live in, and the left is, as totalitarians usually are, rather humorless. I know the response from the Trump campaign was, we didn't see or approve any of the jokes before that. Somebody invited him, and somebody knows who he is, and I think a lot of people know who he is. And I think a lot of people knew what he was going to do, maybe not exactly the direction he would take it, but he's Don Rickles. That's who he is. That's his act. So what is surprising? Maybe they wanted him to do like a roast of, as some people have suggested, like a roast of Republicans to have some fun, self-effacing fun at their expense. The Lindsey Grahams or the John Kellys, Republicans who are Trump's on-again, off-again allies or just open and hostile enemies. I don't know. I don't know, but it's comedy.
Well, they did take out one joke, so they did know, and we'll tell you at 6 o'clock what that joke was. But so they must have seen something on his quote-unquote playlist. But I don't know if he snuck that in, if he ad-libbed that about Puerto Rico, about watermelons and black people. You and I can have completely different opinions on it. But I know that
I know, because
he
have a
lost
sense of
2
humor.
votes.
That's the difference. But I actually think that it may have been a bit of a jiu-jitsu move. I think that it was intended to draw the reaction that it is drawing from the quarters from which it is drawing that reaction. Not to get into a Kamala Harris verbal pretzel here, but so I think there was some intention behind it. But anyway, we'll discuss that at 6:06.
Because I think he was paid off by the Democratic Party because I'm starting to wear a tin hat. All right, coming up with that. And then later, Brandon Johnson. Oh, yeah. You guys happy you voted for him now? But now let's head into the newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
2 men injured in a shooting near Loyola University. ComEd executive testifies in Mike Madigan's federal corruption trial. Parents are urging the Evanston-Skokie District 65 to stop the closure of the Bessie Road School, and hundreds want to sleep outside to support homeless families in Chicago. Last night, a win for the Blackhawks and the Bulls, and WIND Chicago News Time is 6 o'clock.
Just a week left. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News, and the presidential race keeps running through toss-up states.
Make no mistake, we will win. We will win.
Leading the crowd at the Harris rally in Michigan to chant, "We will win," with her as the vice president says she's running
Turn turn the page on the fear and divisiveness that have characterized our politics for a decade because of Donald Trump.
Today, Vice President Harris will go to the Ellipse in Washington, D.C., speaking where then-President Trump spoke on January 6, 2021, before his supporters stormed the U.S. Capitol. Former Trump advisor Steve Bannon just got out of prison this morning after serving about 4 months for refusing to cooperate with the Democrat-led House committee investigating that January 6th riot. Former President Trump pushing back against Democrats.
He's Hitler. And then they say he's a Nazi. I'm not a Nazi. I'm the opposite of a Nazi.
That was at a Trump rally in Georgia, blaming Harris again for record illegal immigration and crimes migrants have committed.
Anyone who would let monsters kidnap and kill our children does not belong anywhere near the Oval Office. No, you have to protect our children.
The former president will rally today in Pennsylvania after talking to reporters this morning at his Florida resort. More than 46 million Americans have already voted early across the country in person and by mail, and someone tried to burn ballots and did in 2 states.
Officials identifying a Volvo they believe to be a suspect vehicle connected to 3 incendiary devices being placed on ballot drop boxes in Portland, Oregon and Vancouver, Washington state, 2 causing fires.
As Fox's Kristen Goodwin, hundreds of ballots were destroyed in Vancouver, only 3 in Portland. Israel has gone on the attack in Gaza again with a strike overnight that hit a 5-story building sheltering civilians. Palestinian officials say at least 60 people were killed. Israel has said it targets militants hiding in civilian areas. America's listening to Fox News.
70 degrees at 6:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. There is a red flag fire warning for most of our listening area until 9 p.m. tonight. Mayor Brandon Johnson will propose another property tax hike when he lays out his budget plan to the City Council Wednesday. According to sources at City Hall, the mayor has briefed a few aldermen on the plan to try and fill a nearly $1 billion shortfall in the budget for next year. Police continue investigating a shooting near Loyola University that left 2 men injured on Monday. A 28-year-old man and a 24-year-old man were both hit by gunfire. Now that suspect had a valid firearm license, was apprehended, and a gun was recovered. A man charged in connection with a shooting involving Chicago police officers that occurred on the north side Saturday. Alderwoman Deborah Silverstein.
Immediately after the global Jewish community observes Simchat Torah, a holiday celebrating the joy of being Jewish, a Jewish resident of the 50th Ward was targeted with violence.
On Monday, police charged 22-year-old Sadi Mohammed Abdullahi with multiple felonies, including attempted murder. Jurors hearing more recordings and learning about insider political deals with ComEd at the corruption trial of former Illinois House Speaker Mike Matting, and that continues at the Dirksen Federal Building. PepsiCo is shutting down its back-of-the-yard Chicago facility. Close to 80 employees are out of a job. And the Gary, Indiana Police Department K-9 credited with finding a missing 12-year-old child with autism. Child went missing early Sunday morning. The dog's name is Fido, and his handlers found the child on the grounds of Westside High School unharmed, reunited with his mother. Bulls win over the Grizzlies, 126-123. Zach Levine, 30. Blackhawks snap a 4-game losing skid with a 5-2 win over Colorado. Dodgers a win away from claiming another World Series crown. They topped the Yankees 4-2 last night. They have a 3-0 series advantage. The news, a service of Papa Nicholas Coffee, a Chicago tradition for over 5 generations, combining heritage and innovation in every cup. Hot air roasted locally and cold blended in small batches to ensure premium quality. Online at papanicholas.com. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Make sure that you never miss a day of Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson when you subscribe to the Chicago's Morning Answer podcast, presented by Signature Bank. Listen to the entire show each day on demand with limited commercial breaks. You can subscribe today for free at 560theanswer.com and click on podcasts or search for Chicago's Morning Answer on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, or wherever you listen to podcasts.
Everywhere you look, things are getting more expensive. So at Consumer Cellular, we're lowering the price for those 50 and up. Now you can get unlimited talk, text, and data for $30 a line when you buy two. That's just $60 a month for 2 unlimited lines. So if you're 50 and up, make the switch and save. Come on, you've earned this. Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com today. Requires 2 lines of service, age validation, and credit approval, subject to system and area limits, taxes, and other fees apply.
I opened a gold IRA with Noble Gold Investments. There's no better vote for your financial safety than precious metals. So Noble Gold Investments is giving away up to 10 1-ounce silver Trump coins or a 10-ounce silver American flag bar with a qualifying account this month. Just use promo code TRUMP. That's NobleGoldInvestments.com.
Past performance may not be indicative of future results. Investing in precious metals, including gold, involves risks. Consult with your tax attorney or financial professional before making an investment decision.
The following is a paid political announcement.
Have you heard about this guy, Donald Rainwater?
I sure have. Guy was a deadbeat dad. Total loser. Not only did Rainwater repeatedly fail to pay his child support, he filed for bankruptcy and had his car repossessed. But what did a court find he spent the money on? Cigarettes.
Hasn't he run for office twice before and lost each time?
Sure has. Maybe that's why he wants the job, so taxpayers pay off all his debts.
But there's someone even worse than Rainwater. This Jennifer McCormick character is a really out there liberal.
Yeah, she's a pro-Biden and pro-Kamala liberal. She opposed school choice, she supports boys in the girls' locker room, and did you hear what she said about Hillary Clinton?
Did you vote for Hillary Clinton?
She had some great, world foreign experience. So I did vote for Hillary Clinton.
Jennifer McCormick, she's hopelessly liberal.
I'm not voting for Rainwater or McCormick. They're both losers in my book.
Paid for by Indiana Republican State Committee, Inc.
6:07, let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time is a service of the Chicago Board of Elections. Early voting, downtown Chicago, now open through Election Day, November 5th. Go to Chicago Voting Supersite, 191 North Clark, or the board offices, 69 West Washington Street. Go to chicagoelections.gov for more information. North Side, Irving Park shut down westbound from Ashland to Paulina due to police activity this morning. The Veterans Memorial Toll Road all jammed up southbound after St. Charles to past Roosevelt due to an earlier accident involving an overturned pickup. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. Now your official Chicagoland weather forecast with Steve Williams.
Clouds will give way to some sun, windy and warm. There will be a high fire risk today. Look for a high of 83. Partly cloudy, a warm, breezy night tonight, low 66. Sun and clouds, windy and warm again tomorrow. A high fire threat and the high near 80. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
70 at O'Hare. Next news, 6:30. Breaking news as it happens. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Backlash continues against Trump over racist jokes. MSNBC and all the usual outlets hyperventilating and trying to distract, probably I think to Trump's benefit, but I'll get to that, trying to distract attention away from what Tucker Carlson had to say, what Elon Musk had to say, what Donald Trump had to say at the rally at Madison Square Garden on Sunday night. Also distract attention away from the fact that there were 100,000 cell phone pings in that footprint. So 20,000 inside, another 80,000 outside, roughly, just in terms of the intensity of the enthusiasm and interest in Trump's candidacy.
You're talking about the Nazi rally that happened on Sunday.
Right. So that it was Nazi on the front end and racism on the back end. This is what they do. We've brought you the Kill Tony podcaster and stand-up comedian Tony Hinchcliffe before. Kill Tony, by the way, is one of the most popular comedy podcasts on the planet. And he's a roast comic like Jeffrey Ross. He did the Tom Brady roast.
Right.
One of the comedians up there. And he went down the line. Jeffrey Ross, Jewish, who's his mentor. Bart Kreischer, Kevin Hart, obviously Tom Brady, who was the individual being roasted. It was the Tom Brady roast. Up and down the line. And, I mean, he's very funny, I think. This is on Kevin Hart.
Everyone's up here talking about what a big winner Tom is, but let me tell you, Tom is afraid of the Giants, which is why Kevin Hart is hosting tonight. It's true. All night, he's been using the stool that Aaron Hernandez kicked out from under himself. Yeah.
Too soon.
It's true.
Right.
Kevin is so small that when his ancestors picked cotton, they called it deadlifting.
So is that racist? Is that anti-short people? Is he Randy Newman?
312-642-5600. Turnkey.pro answer line. You can also text us on the very same line.
And by the way, I have to get this on because his riff on Gronkowski was just so great.
Gronk, I'm happy you could take a break from writing Santa letters to be here today. I knew you were here when we were all out of chocolate milk backstage. By the way, Gronk, that's Kevin Hart sitting next to you. That's not your shadow.
Oh, my God. And Gronk looked at him like, duh.
I know what's coming, and it's still funny. Jeffrey Ross, as he went down the line, Jeffrey Ross, again, who's his mentor.
Right.
Jeffrey Ross is Jewish. Jeffrey Ross is only interested. Jeffrey Ross is so Jewish that he's only interested in NFL games for the coin toss.
Here's that.
The great Jeff Ross, ladies and gentlemen.
I just said it.
Jeff is so Jewish, he only watches football for the coin toss. Gronk, you look like the Nazi that kept burning himself on the ovens. Kevin is so small that when
so they knew what they were getting into when they hired him, basically, to speak at the event.
And where's the reaction coming from? Where's the reaction to it wasn't the best set. I've seen him do much better sets, particularly on the roasts. It's a different sort of venue. But, I mean, the hue and cry, where's it coming from? The hue and cry over his jokes? First of all, here are a couple of the jokes in question, just so we know what we're talking about, if you haven't made yourself aware of this controversy the left is trying to propagate in the last week.
It is absolutely wild times. It really, really is. And, there's a lot going on. Like, I don't know if you guys know this, but there's literally a floating island of garbage in the middle of the ocean right now. Yeah. I think it's called Puerto Rico. Okay. All right. Okay.
And
we're
laughing.
getting there. No.
Then he does some sort of contrived crowd work. He notices a black dude in the audience, and he offers this.
All right. Heck yeah. This cool black guy with a thing on his head. What the hell is that? A lampshade? Look at this guy. Oh, my goodness. Wow. I'm just kidding. That's one of my buddies. He had a Halloween party last night. We had fun. We carved watermelons together. It was awesome. You guys this is a groany little morning crowd, huh?
So those are racist jokes, and Trump should be chided, and this was offensive, and this could cost him the election, and so on and so forth. Is that what people think? 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro, answer line. Those racist jokes, is that out of bounds?
Well, according to Fox News, he did have a joke in there about Kamala and a certain word that starts with C, and they took that out. So if they were aware of that, did they not look at the other jokes? Was this just ad lib, or he saw his buddy in the crowd? I mean,
that's not the question. His set was a set, so react to the set. not what he.
Okay.
Not the process of the set. By the way, what do you think? What do you think Saturday Night Live is saying when they, when Maya Rudolph comes out and calls Kamala or calls herself imitating Kamala the funt? What do you think that's supposed to evoke?
Yeah, I know exactly what that evokes.
Thank you.
Well,
So go ahead.
I'm just going to tell you, I do have a sense of humor because I do think you accuse me of not having a sense of humor. I get what happened. I understand. But other people, when you're roasting a key demographic that you need in order to win, they're offended by it. I know he lost 2 Puerto Rican votes because they're my children and they are not happy. And I said, and I talked to both of them yesterday. I said, Trump did not do that. They're like, still, Mom, come on. We don't need, calling us trash. I'm like, he's not calling you trash. He didn't say anything. It was a comedian who was there to kill time because they had 30 speakers and the event lasted 7 hours. These are things people don't know. And he wasn't saying that he was trying to be funny, and he was being sarcastic, and he was that's who he is. He does roast, so he was roasting. So I don't know. But then on the other, I'm tried. But then on the other hand, all the local media, the local Puerto Rican community reacts. Guess how many people were there? 7. 7 people is not a protest. Back in the day, that we wouldn't even have covered that. We wouldn't have gotten out of the car and shot B-roll. Instead, every newscast put that in their A block. That is not a Puerto Rican protest. That's 7 people who were upset. So, do I think it's going to cost him the election? No. Do I understand your point of view? Yes. But you also have to understand that offended a lot of Puerto Ricans. 300,000 Puerto Ricans live in Pennsylvania. And that's the swing state that people have to focus on. Are they offended? I don't know. I didn't watch the local news there. I don't know if they had a protest with 7 people.
Mm-hmm. Ask Peyton and Eli if they're offended on behalf of Mexicans for what George Lopez said at a Harris Walls rally.
Donald Trump said he was going to build a wall, and George Lopez said, you better build it in one day, because if you leave that material out there overnight.
Oh my God! George Lopez called Mexicans thieves!
He did.
Oh my God! Do you know how many
laughed.
Mexican Americans there are in swing states? Is that the reaction we're supposed to have? This is an interesting cultural moment, another one that Trump brings us for some reflection on our culture, the infantilization of it, the performative outrage, the pretending, especially people of a certain age who've been through a couple of iterations of this. I mean, are you really that humorless? You can't laugh at yourself? You've never heard comedians do humor based on stereotypes? Are they oppressing someone? Do they really dislike this group of people when they go group to group to group to group? The same people that make jokes about Puerto Ricans and make a joke about, the Irish having small penises and being drunks. Does that offend you equally? Are you offended on behalf of every group that gets made fun of by a stand-up comedian who, as I've said now many times, is in the tradition of Don Rickles or even more recently Anthony Jeselnik?
President Obama made fun of Trump's penis.
He's not a stand-up comedian. Jackie Mason. How many examples do you have? Jackie Mason, all the Chris Rock, David Chappelle. They don't make fun of groups, including their own. We're such children about this. We have no sense of you. Because it's all this, because the culture is dominated by the left, it becomes this humorless, restrictive, censorious, totalitarian culture. And you know what? The people that are responding with their phony outrage, I think just drive.
Anyway.
I just think drive the exact point of the Trump campaign. I don't want to live in this humorless, suffocating cancel culture that the left promulgates. I don't want it. And when I hear stuff like this from AOC in response, it just drives me to Trump.
This was a hate rally. This was not just a presidential rally. This was also not just a campaign rally. I think it's very important for people to understand that these are mini January 6 rallies. These are mini Stop the Steal rallies. These are rallies to prime an electorate into rejecting the results of an election if it doesn't go the way that they want. Because Donald Trump and that entire cadre of people up on that stage, Stephen Miller, etc., do not respect the law of the United States of America. And they either want to win this election or they are using rhetoric of taking it by force. That is what they mean, and that's what they're doing when they are inciting violence and hatred against Latinos, against Black Americans, against Americans who don't have children, you have J.D. Vance literally talking about watering down people's right to vote, depending on if they can violate.
And so on. And then she went on at it again when her and Field Marshal Tim did this pathetic setup where they play a game of Madden 25 and have these spontaneous conversations about the goings-on in America.
People in Puerto Rico are citizens. They pay taxes and they serve in the military at almost a higher rate than anybody else.
Yeah. It's like super upsetting. Obviously, it's super upsetting to me. My family is from Puerto Rico. I'm Puerto Rican. And the thing that is so messed up that I wish more people understood is that the things that they do in Puerto Rico are a testing ground for the policies and the horrors that they wish to, and that they do unveil in working class communities across the United States. What? And
of course, like what? Like you're going to get something specific from her? Of course not.
Well, and then he went on to say she runs a mean pick six.
Yeah, we'll get
to that later.
So he's drawing the Trump campaign now is drawing fire of that sort from that selection of leftists, and you think that hurts his campaign? Anthony, Northeast Side.
How you doing? This is Anthony. I was just calling in because these people currently couldn't handle Archie Bunker, George Jefferson, nothing like that. Right. It's always it's mostly all these white liberals that are telling everybody else what they should be offended by. And a lot of people are getting offended by their heritage, but they're not being offended by their American citizenship. If they were to say jokes about Americans, they'd find it humorous. Everybody reflects to where they come from, but they're not proud to be American. They're just proud of their heritage, and they utilize it every election year. Well, I'm Puerto Rican, or I'm Asian, or I'm this and that. We're American first, and we do have a sense of humor. People need to reach out and touch. People need to laugh more, not only at themselves, but together. You know what I mean? It brings us together. That's what humor's about. It's supposed to bring people together. That's right.
Exactly. Thanks for the call, Anthony, and be able to laugh at yourself a little bit, for God's sakes. It's so funny. Would Mel Brooks have a career today? No, of course not. Would Don Rickles have a career today? Maybe. Tony Hinchcliffe does, but it would be different. The real question is, would a leftist, the founder of People for the American Way, which is basically a commie organization, Norman Lear, who, since Anthony brought it up, created All in the Family, among other shows, would he have a career? He's a leftist. But people don't even understand the point. They don't even think through the message that's being sent or the art that is being presented. They just get on their little identitarian high horse and start gesticulating around. It's pathetic.
They pounced on this because they had nothing else. They were jealous of what Trump did.
So lean into it. Don't worry about it. Somebody's offended. Somebody in your circle's offended. Well, they're ignorant then.
They are, and because he wasn't calling Puerto Ricans trash, he was joking around.
If you have to explain comedy, then you've already lost. Okay. If somebody doesn't get it, then they're not going to get it.
Text message, Dan and Amy, I wish George Carlin was still alive.
But George Carlin, another one.
Yeah.
Another one. Well, I'll tell you who did a nice job. It was Byron Donalds, my congressman in Southwest Florida, maybe a future governor of Florida. He'd be a good one. Byron Donalds was on that CNBC Investotainment Roundtable they do every day. and the obnoxious little twit Aaron Ross Sorkin tried to run this game on Byron Donalds.
He was awesome.
He torched him. It was great.
You don't go to other rallies for Harris or see in a Harris rally that kind of vitriol. It just you see. Look,
you don't?
I don't think you do.
Kamala Harris spends half her time talking about her rival as Hitler. After he's been, there have been attempts on his life, not once, but twice. She's doing it right now. Every Democrat official at these rallies refers to him as Adolf Hitler. You got Hillary Clinton running around there hawking her book that nobody wants to buy, frankly. And she's talking about how this is akin to 1939. Are you out of your mind? You want to talk about rhetoric? Let's compare, but let me go back. We are talking about the comments of a comedian, and everybody's going to forget it in 48 hours. The real joke in America is the terrible policy of Kamala Harris. Let's talk specifically about Puerto Ricans in America today. Puerto Ricans have had to live under the same inflation unleashed by Kamala Harris. And that's not a joke, but they got to live with it. Puerto Ricans today are living under the same terrible border policies that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris unleashed. That's a terrible joke on the American people. We should be focused on that.
I'm not disagreeing with you on that one.
Yeah. I'm backtracking. Good. Byron Donalds is sharp. That was a nice moment, and it's a good example to be replicated in terms of how you deal with these simps in the press corps and in the electorate in general. I mean, are you serious? You're whipping yourself into a frenzy over the insults of an insult comic, but you don't mind the serious accusations that Trump and his supporters are neo-Nazis. Okay, that's persuasive. Marty in Naperville.
Good morning. It's a good thing the way the Blackhawks played it. Don Rickles isn't still talking because he'd be offended by calling us hockey pucks. But anyway, these same people who go on and on about this thing that just happened, their next sentence is Donald Trump is Hitler. Donald just took exactly my point away, and he was great saying it. That these people who sit there and go on and on about this, their next term is Donald Trump is Hitler. And Amy, not to bring your children into this, but don't they get offended when Kamala Harris calls them Hitler and fascists and stuff? I mean, it's, not to bring your kids into it, but, that point you should have made to them was, doesn't it offend you when you're called the names that you're called?
Thanks for the call, Marty. No.
Well,
response.
My kids were undecided voters. Now they're decided voters, I think, if they're even going to do it. I mean, after all I went through to get them ballots, dear Lord, nothing's easy in this city. I told them.
Oh, the good news is they're voting in Chicago, so it doesn't matter. Joe in East Dundee.
Yeah, Dan and Amy. My Uncle Bob was an electrical engineer in Puerto Rico during Korea. And they repaired the ships, so they could send them back out into combat, that kind of thing. And Puerto Ricans are Americans,
right.
I don't know.
Yeah.
What the problems are, but a lot of them just leave. They come stateside. And I've worked with many of them. And many are very good, patriotic citizens,
Of course.
My goodness.
Of course. I mean, do we have to ever, many people of all walks of life, most of them are good people that are industrious and so on and so forth. This is why it shouldn't be a big deal when you're made fun of, as part of your silly group identity, which shouldn't matter that much to you anyway. It's fine to be proud of your culture or heritage and where you came from and what you believe and all those things. But really, you're so fragile. Are you really that fragile? I love Tony Hinchcliffe's response to this. He tweeted out or X'd out, these people have no sense of humor. And speaking directly to Field Marshal Tim, wild that a vice presidential candidate would take time out of his busy schedule to analyze a joke taken out of context to make it seem racist. I love Puerto Rico and vacation there. I made fun of everyone and watched the whole set. I'm a comedian, Tim. Might be time to change your tampon. It's exactly what you should do. It's exactly how you should deal with these humorless totalitarians, and that's a redundancy.
And Jon Stewart, he defended him. He said he finds this guy. He goes, I love this guy. I find him very funny. And
there's something wrong with me. I find that guy very funny. So I'm sorry. I don't know what to tell you. Bringing him to a rally and have him not do roast jokes, that'd be like bringing Beyonce to a rally and not have...
Hello. Now, even most of these, maybe I should say most, but a lot of these left comedians are not on board with this because they understand it's the death of comedy.
Yeah, their jobs are on the line, their livelihoods.
Well, it's more than that. I mean, it's our culture is on the line.
I know.
George in Naperville.
Yeah, these are the same people that cheer on and get a kick out of a weaponized justice system that goes after their opponents. They find that entertaining.
All right, thanks, George. Dan and Amy, Chicago's Morning Answer.
You're listening to Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
The following is a paid political announcement.
Family, country, community. Ed Soliday has spent his life in service to others. A graduate of Valparaiso High School, Ed Soliday went on to attend Indiana University and served our country in the Army, where he earned the Distinguished Flying Cross, 2 Bronze Stars, and a Purple Heart. After his military service, Ed Soliday built a successful career as a pilot and flight safety expert, leading crisis management at United Airlines on 9/11. Now, Ed Soliday is serving us at the Indiana State House, where he puts people ahead of partisanship. Representative Ed Soliday is a respected voice working to protect taxpayers, secure our energy grid, and attract better-paying jobs to the region. Ed is endorsed by the Indiana Fraternal Order of Police, the Indiana State Police Alliance, and the Indiana Professional Firefighters PAC. Representative Ed Soliday. Common sense leadership for Northwest Indiana. Vote Ed Soliday for state representative on or before Tuesday, November 5th.
Paid for by friends of Ed Soliday Committee.
Rick Borick, host of Unleash Your Wealth.
When the stock market struggles, when inflation is high, you need to start looking through the inventory of all your accounts and say, is every one of these investments working as hard as it could be? Because every month during high inflation that you waste, you're losing 8 or 9% a year.
Unleash Your Wealth, Saturday at 7 a.m. and our new time at 2 p.m. here on AM 560, The Answer.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
At 6:36, Field Marshal Tim came this close to marrying into the Chinese Communist Party. Oh, it could have gone so differently for him. 6:36.
His former lover. But now let's head into the newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
70 degrees at 6:32. North Korea says its top diplomat is visiting Russia today. It's another sign of their deepening relationship. Its rivals South Korea and Western nations express alarm about the North deploying thousands of troops to back Russia in Ukraine. Gaza's health ministry says an Israeli strike on a 5-story building where displaced Palestinians were sheltering has killed at least 60. Also, Lebanon's militant terror group Hezbollah has chosen Naim Qassem as its new leader following the killing of Hassan Nasrallah. Around 20,000 are expected in the nation's capital for what organizers are calling VP Harris's closing argument to voters. Harris was in Michigan making 3 stops in that battleground state.
My opponent spends full time talking about just kind of diminishing who we are as America and talking down at people.
Former President Trump held 2 events in battleground Georgia.
We're going to win this thing. We got to win this thing. And if we don't win it, we're not going to have a country. It's not going to be good. But I hear everything from what I hear is it's not only going to be a victory, it's going to be a big, fat, beautiful victory. That's what we're doing.
The latest polling does find the former president with a 2-point lead nationally over Vice President Harris. It's a red flag warning until 9 p.m., a fire warning for most of our listening area. Mayor Brandon Johnson will propose another property tax hike when he lays out his budget plan to the city council Wednesday, according to sources close to aldermen who spoke off the record. Jurors are hearing more recordings and learning about more political deals with ComEd at the corruption trial that continues today at the Dirksen Federal Building. That trial has Illinois House Speaker Democrat Mike Madigan and co-defendant Michael McClain facing charges. And 2 men are accused of taking part in a brawl outside of a funeral and injuring 2 Chicago police officers on the west side. Yesterday, DeMarco Hunter was charged with aggravated battery And Michael Fitzgerald was charged with aggravated battery to a police officer. Bulls beat the Grizzlies 126-123. The Blackhawks a 5-2 win over Colorado. And the Dodgers have a 3-0 series lead after taking another World Series win from the Yankees, 4-2. The news, a service of AlmostFreeTeeth.com. Overpaying for dental implants is over. If you have a Blue Cross Blue Shield, PPO, or FEP, you could save 90% on average to get your smile back. Learn more and check if you qualify. AlmostFreeTeeth.com. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
The lineup for Freedom Summit Chicago 2024 just got bigger with the addition of Dinesh D'Souza. He joins Dr. Sebastian Gorka and economist Steve Moore, along with Dan Proft, Amy Jacobson, Sean Thompson, John Anthony, Jeannie Ives, and many more. This event will sell out, so get your tickets today at freedomsummitchicago.com. That's freedomsummitchicago.com. Sponsored in part by Overhead Door, healthinsurancementors.com, and by Trinity School of Natural Health.
The following is a paid political announcement.
Hi, I'm Mark Rice, former Texan energy entrepreneur, family man, and football coach. I'm running for U.S. Congress in the 8th Congressional District. It's time for something different. We've all had enough of losing to the Democrats and the corrupt career politicians that are ruining our state and cities. I'll take action and bring some common sense to Congress. I'm not afraid to meet head-on the challenges we face daily, like the border situation, crime in our neighborhoods, inflation of everyday items like food, gas, and medical needs. We need to protect our freedoms, and I'm the person to get the job done. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. Support my campaign in the 8th District, and let's take back our country, one House seat at a time. Vote for me, Mark Rice, for Congress. Go to rice4congress.com to get involved. I'm Mark Rice, and I approve this message. Paid for by Mark Rice for Congress Committee.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies supplements, changing the world one life at a time.
I'm a doctor myself. I've used it and I've turned a lot of my patients onto it as well. It's a good product.
You know, balance of nature is becoming pretty important out there to a lot of people. And when I first started, I was really impressed. I'm a healthcare professional, trained as a pharmacist. So anything that's natural, I like. And so it made a lot of sense.
Start your journey with Balance of Nature supplements. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com and sign up as a new preferred customer. And for a limited time, get 35% off your first order with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
If you're experiencing low energy, brain fog, or bloating, then your body might need a detox. Active Liver from New Nordic makes it easy to help your liver to detox your body all year long without major changes to your diet or lifestyle.
Let's check the morning roads in the Team Hochberg Traffic Center. And this look at travel times, the service of LifeLock. As Cybersecurity Awareness Month wraps up, remember to update your software to fix security issues that identity thieves exploit to steal personal info, and for comprehensive identity theft protection. Choose LifeLock. Start your 30-day free trial today at lifelock.com/cybersecurity. 25 on the inbound Edens, Lake Cook Road to the junction. 61 in on the Kennedy, O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. The Ike looking okay. The Stevenson at 46 into DuSable Lakeshore Drive. And the Dan Ryan, 23 from 95th into the Burns Circle interchange. The locals hit the brakes at 43rd. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. Now your official Chicagoland weather forecast. A windy day, high of 83. Partly cloudy, a warm wind overnight, low 66. 69 at O'Hare. Next news at 7. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560. The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Before we move on to our next topic, I want to respond to some people that are offended by when I get aggressive rhetorically. Let me just explain my perspective on this show one more time. This is not some ghastly, fluffy morning show trafficking in phony pieties and general blather. Okay? So everybody gets their say, but if you want in the arena, then you better be able to defend yourself or suffer the consequences. That's how it works. Okay? Everybody understand the rules now? Thank you. Moving on, Jeff Bezos. Speaking of media outlets that are fluffy and full of blather, Jeff Bezos, interestingly, along with the publisher of the LA Times, the owner of the LA Times, all this heat over their decision not to endorse in the presidential race. 200,000 subscribers have canceled their subscription to the Bezos Post. And now this comes, Jeff Bezos saying that he has given, the report is, Jeff Bezos reporting that, the report is that he has given the paper, the Bezos Amazon Post, a mandate to add more conservative voices to its opinion section. What are those conservative voices going to look like, Jeff? Jennifer Rubin?
Adam Kinzinger?
Yeah, right. Lynn Cheney?
Yeah.
Liz Cheney,
Those
I should
guys.
say. I don't want to offend
Lindsey Graham?
He
That's funny.
I mean, right. So, I mean, the whole thing, what they define as a conservative, one of these housebroken conservative, Mitt Romney will be their new featured conservative columnist over at the Amazon Post.
He's a yob.
And then, of course, that LA Times executive editor who, interestingly, is on the board of Columbia Journalism Review, which is another hatchet shop for these propagandists at these D.C. outlets. He resigned in protest because now is not the time we stay silent. Very interesting because the owner of the LA Times put out, he did respond. Bezos has stayed silent, but he did respond and said, look, I told them that they can put, the policy analysis and the candidates' positions on the respective issue matrix, the policies and the issues that are important to our readers and the voters, one and the same, distill them so that our readers make an informed choice. And they didn't want to do that because obviously they wanted to write a Jeremiah ad in favor of Kamala Harris, like all of these DC press corps outlets do, and as a matter of course. So it's interesting. I mean, I don't know what you think, but I can't take Bezos and the LA Times. These are both men of the left, the LA Times owner. I can't take them at face value. Like this represents some
paradigm shift.
Yeah, so that they're really interested in expanding the intellectual diversity, if you will, on the editorial pages. I just don't buy it. What I think is happening with these two, and maybe some other outlets will follow, is, especially, I think perhaps instigated by the move of some of Silicon Valley's heavy hitters, starting with Musk, to the right, that they say, I just go back to what David Mamet said, too, his insight into these people, is the worst thing that could happen to them is they get cut out of the action, is that they're rendered irrelevant. And I think, they probably want press passes for their people to be in the White House press briefings. But more than anything, they don't want to be cut out. And that's what I think this is. I think this is a hedge so they don't get cut out. It's not because they're afraid Trump is going to come after them, which is what these leftists have been saying. Oh, they're just afraid of the regime, and they're going to put in prison all of these staffers of these anti-Trump outlets. Of course, that's not the case, and we see this all the time. Trump engages outlets that are the most hostile to them. He does CNN town halls. He sits down with New York Times editorial board. Yeah. He's not imprisoning anybody. Yeah, he goes on to. I mean, all these things.
Don't want him anymore.
Yeah, all these things. He loves the antagonism. I mean, he feeds off of it. I mean, so it's not that they're not afraid of that. They're afraid of being rendered irrelevant and losing access and losing status. That's what I think it is.
Yeah, when I read the article about Bezos, wanting more conservative voices in the opinion section, I just thought, wow, they are desperate. They see the writing on the wall. They see that Harris is going to lose, and they need to, regain some viewership or readership. Excuse me. If it goes down the way they think it is going to go down.
Well, I think I think it's I think they're playing the longer game and particularly the relevance game. I mean, think about who these people are. When you have, these billionaires, men of the left, but they're transactional in nature. They're much less, at least these two, not everyone, not Soros, for example, but these two are not nearly as ideological as some of their fellow travelers. They're just financiers of the left. But they're going to act in furtherance of what they perceive are their interests, not necessarily the interests of these red diaper babies that dominate their newsrooms. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro, answer line, and text line. Speaking of news outlets, I do have to get to this. And I got a little intro music that I think is appropriate for this story.
Okay.
My China girl.
Did he say my little China girl or Timmy's
I
China
said
girl?
Timmy's China.
Oh,
that was
you
me.
said it.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought that may have been David Bowie, and I didn't know the lyrics all
Timmy's
this time.
China girl. She's a real looker, Dan.
Well, I mean, let's not be catty.
Well, that's what I do.
Yeah. It's just a fun story, and I like fun stories about Coach Walls.
Dan, you run a mean pick six, I got to tell you.
Yeah.
Coach, my Batui.
Madden 25, the 0-0 final score. Only Walls and AOC. Apparently, he had a love affair. Ooh, gross. With the daughter of a Chinese Communist Party official during his teaching stint that was so stormy it drove her to the brink of suicide. I can understand somebody dating Tim Walz and not being able to live with themselves after that.
Well, she said she liked his mouth and his eyes.
Gross.
Oh, gross. It just sounded, but that's what she said.
Yeah, I was deeply insulted when I guess they got into a bit of a fight over whether he was going to bring her back to America, but just as a means of getting her to America, or if they were really going to get married. And I guess he said he didn't want to get. I don't really know.
He thought she was using him a little bit to become an American citizen.
Right, and then she said I was deeply insulted and hurt. I had to leave that place because many people knew that we had a relationship. And then she said that his lack of character as a man, a responsible person who had worked in education and military. She said. She's like doing this in the 11th hour to, warn America that he doesn't have the character for the job. Yeah, we're aware.
Thanks.
But thank you. Yeah. The young lovers.
Hot at the end, yes.
The young lovers enjoyed karaoke together.
I wonder what their go-to song was.
And Walls showered Wang with gifts, including gold jewelry and high-waisted blue jeans.
Well, that's a good thing back then. That was the look,
Jordache, do you think?
Yeah. Or even, Levi's if you got the high up and flare out at the
Which
end.
Which one? Wait, Calvin Klein? Was that Brooke Shields?
Oh, yeah. That was Brooke Shields. Yes.
Nothing gets between me and
Nothing
my Calvin
gets
Klein.
Me and my, and she still has those jeans that she wore in the commercial, by the way. And her daughter wears them now.
Knowing that he wasn't going to marry me made me feel cheap and common, as if I was being treated like a prostitute.
Oh, come on.
Yeah. And she also said Tim lied about Tiananmen Square, and he's lied about other things. He's lied about everything, as far as I can tell. This is a very crucial moment in history, and a man like this does not appear to have the character and integrity to do one of the most important jobs in the world. Boy, when Field Marshal Tim is rejected by the Chinese Communist Party, I mean, it's really going bad.
What was her first? I know her last name's Wang. I wonder if Tim saw this coming. I wonder if the Harris administration properly vetted him for his China girl.
Well, I mean, it's okay to have a former girlfriend. In fact, I'm a little surprised, actually. But
that he has a girlfriend?
Yeah. Thought something else may have come out.
Hey,
But,
now. Hey, now.
Yeah. And she's the daughter of a Chi-Com party official.
Of course she is.
I mean, I'm surprised, like, rather than her using him to get to America, that she didn't think he might be using her to get a post in the Chinese Communist Party. That seemed to me what he was sort of pushing for, with all of this back and forth with students and bringing Chinese Communist Party officials to Minnesota and so on and so forth. Strange.
Yeah, he went there, 32 times? He honeymooned there. The Clintons honeymooned in Haiti.
Yeah, well.
Spots.
Boy, I mean, that's...
a lot of all-inclusives there, let me tell you.
I don't know. Jenna Wang, by the way, is her name.
Oh, Jenna.
Yeah, Jenna Wang.
Oh, it's a very American name, Jenna. Okay.
Yeah.
Did you see her picture, though, Dan?
I saw in the post that, they've got a picture of her frolicking on the beach.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Sure Timmy was with her. So hot. That guy's good looking.
Yeah. Well,
he gets the ladies.
I just like to keep up on the stuff. You know, I mean, it's interesting. I mean, the ex-girlfriends of some of these politicians. Yeah, because it reminds me that we've never heard from an ex-girlfriend of Barack Obama. Isn't that weird?
Well, I remember they interviewed his prom date. But when you
the
go to
same
prom,
thing.
that's not. It was
Not the
one
same
and done.
thing.
Oh no, I know. She was a white chick.
Yeah.
Prom, they're friends.
Very strange. Very strange. Yeah. Interesting. The lives and times of our politicians, since we treat them like celebrities, I guess we might as well dig into their personal lives.
Well,
too.
and Dougie, I mean,
anyway.
we know who his ex-girlfriends are, except for the one that he, biatch slapped so hard that she spun around.
Yeah.
Because that's okay, because, remember, weren't we always supposed to believe the victim, believe the woman?
She's been talking to the Daily Mail, too. The Daily Mail is becoming like the National Enquirer. It's like the paper of record for the exes of Democrat socialists in America.
Why hasn't he been held accountable for that?
Who?
Dougie.
That's never happened.
Just brushed over. They didn't even address it. They didn't even ask her about it. Or him, and he's still being celebrated as somewhat new face of masculinity.
Yeah, I'm surprised that real surprised that CNN didn't give her the same treatment that what's her name, Stacey Williams got, the woman who came out last week, 31 years after this alleged groping incident, who was dating Jeffrey Epstein. As anticipated, she made the rounds. She did. She got her star turn on CNN and so on and so forth. Surprised that they didn't give Doug Emhoff's ex the same treatment. And, if she doesn't want to reveal her identity, they could have blue dotted her or something like that. But no interest. Yeah, real surprising.
Just reminded me of the Hunt and Biter laptop story. Just make it go away. Don't talk about it.
That's true. You know what they should do? They should get 51 feminists to sign a letter saying that Doug Emhoff never slapped any woman.
Well, they could start with his law firm, his $1 million job that he had in L.A., where he hired a young assistant who was good-looking on purpose, and they said that he was very misogynistic, people who work there, so maybe we can start with them. Mr. the new face of masculinity doesn't seem like a good man all the time.
Yeah, he's a phony, too. Well, phonies. There's like basically two peas in a pod when it comes to phoniness, aren't they? Dan and Amy, Chicago's Morning Answer.
It's news, opinion, insight. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Early voting in downtown Chicago is now open through Election Day on November 5th. You can now go to the Chicago Voting Super Site at 191 North Clark or board offices at 69 West Washington Street on the 6th floor to vote. Early voting in all 50 wards of Chicago begins Monday, October 21st at 9 a.m. Any voter can vote at any early voting site, no matter where they live in the city. Same-day registration is available at all early voting sites. Just bring 2 forms of ID, one with your current address. Go to chicagoelections.gov for more information.
Balance of Nature supplements, changing the world one life at a time.
Everything about your product is 100%. I look forward to it. I'll put it that way. I'm 71 years old. Balance of Nature is the absolute best product. I love your product. And you guys, when I call you on the phone, you're the best. So I'm very grateful.
My husband's a retired cop, and I worked in a hospital for years. I'm going out right now because I'm getting ready to paint my fence. It's just literally amazing. And, you watch the TV articles and you go, yeah. Well, at least it's 100% returnable if it doesn't work. I'm not kidding you. It is the most amazing product I've ever taken.
Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com and sign up as a new preferred customer. And for a limited time, get 35% off your first order with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. Go to balanceofnature.com and get this special offer by using discount code Chicago.
Building owners, property managers, and chief engineers. This one's for you.
Hello, this is Bruce Diedrich with Waukegan Roofing, your professional roofer. Everything starts on top. Your investment, your building, and everything in it is protected by your roof. It needs to be in good shape. That's where we can help. If it needs to be repaired or replaced, or you think it might, call us. Let's find out. Here's the number.
847-623-1625.
At Waukegan Roofing, our employees are union-trained roofing professionals with OSHA safety training certifications and have thorough knowledge and expertise regarding the various roofing systems we sell, maintain, and install. We know commercial roofing systems because that's all we do. Over 110 years of doing commercial roofs. Waukegan Roofing has the slogan,
Roofs you can rely on.
Because you can. Here's the number to call,
847-623-1625.
And get the info at waukeganroofing.com. waukeganroofing.com.
AM 560, The Answer.
That sound means it's time for In-Depth History with Frank, the history teacher from Arlington Heights, because there's nothing new in this world, just the history we don't know, and Frank does. Frank, take it away.
Good morning. Erie, Pennsylvania. So told the airplane mechanic to Bud Fox in the movie Wall Street of the destination of Sir Larry Wildman's plane as he was attempting a takeover of Anacott Steel. Bernie Sanders was there, too, the other day campaigning for Kamala and appeared on Meet the Press, showing that at age 83 he needs to take a remedial economics class, as he still does not realize that having too high of a minimum wage lessens supply and helps create the very inflation that harms his beloved working class the most. In fact, here in the People's Republic of Illinois, this policy largely explains $20 haircuts and $12 value meals. But Pennsylvania is truly the keystone state this year, and Sanders is smart enough to realize that whoever wins there wins the presidency. It was also the most important state in the election of 1856, which pitted the new Republican Party's John C. Fremont, the Pathfinder, against the Democrats' old hack, James Buchanan, who was a native son and bachelor from Lancaster. The decisive issue in industrialized Pennsylvania that year was a tariff, and Buchanan was more trusted to raise rates than the anti-slavery swashbuckler Fremont was. Buchanan also won Indiana and Illinois due to the organizing abilities of dough-faced Senators Jesse Bright and Stephen Douglas, respectively. 4 years later, the Republicans, though, would be even more determined to change history and organize much better, and after a Senate loss in 1858, had a seasoned candidate in Abraham Lincoln. Sounds a bit similar to our populist MAGA movement today, doesn't it? One more note, the actor who played Sir Larry Wildman was Terrence Stamp, who also played a general from Krypton, who in the movie Superman 2 uttered a famous line that sums up the attitude of today's postmodern Democrats. Kneel before Zod.
That was my last Superman that I really enjoyed. Yeah, that was very good.
Superman 3 was good, too, with Richard Pryor. That, I thought it was okay.
I understand Blue Horseshoe loves Anacott Steel. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Yeah.
He does.
Where do you get one of these $20 haircuts that you're talking about? Only $20? Boy, I'm getting fleeced.
Clips. I mean, that's what it was at Great Clips the other day. $20 plus
what
the
it,
tip.
What
and
it used to be.
$5 tip. So.
What it used to be.
It was like, you could probably with a coupon get them for $11, but they were like, I don't know, $12, $13 a couple of years ago at places like that or Supercuts. $12, $13, $14. Now they're $20. Just for a basic haircut.
Dan, you turn around, Dan. Did you get your haircut?
I did. Not at
let me
Supercuts.
see the back. Oh, he cut his hair.
A little bit. But it's.
You did that for the flotilla, didn't you?
No, it's a little bit longer. Because I want to do that Gaius Baltar. I'm trying to do the Gaius Baltar from Battlestar Galactica. So that's what my stylist and I worked on. I mean, my stylist is not as expensive as BLM Brandon, but it's a lot more than $20. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, it's about,
Luigi is not cheap.
And women's haircuts, come on, you're talking $200.
$200?
Oh yeah, yeah, easily. In Chicago, for sure, $200.
Does that include a day of beauty?
No, they wash your hair and then style it afterwards, if you must know, and then put a pretty bow in it, and you're ready to go.
Frank, did you get a day of beauty at Supercuts for the $20?
It was like 10 minutes. That's all it was. It was just
in and out.
It's just volume business. Yeah, volume business. All right, Frank. Thank you as always. Very good. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Frank. Okay, bye, Frank. We love you. Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
At 7:07, we turn our attention to some closing arguments from Maha World. 7:07.
Plenty of sunshine today. Record warmth, a high of 83 degrees at 7 a.m. WIND, Chicago.
Who is destroying ballots? I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News.
This is the most undemocratic thing that anyone could possibly do.
Horace So is among the voters in Vancouver, Washington, fearing his mail-in ballot is among the hundreds burned when someone bombed ballot drop-off boxes, causing a fire. The FBI is investigating that in Washington and in Portland, Oregon, where only 3 ballots were burned. More than 46 million Americans have voted early, with the election now just a week away.
Make America great again. It's the greatest political movement of all time.
Former President Trump at a rally in Georgia calling Vice President Harris a hater, denouncing Democrats calling him a fascist and a Nazi.
This is the kind of outrageous rhetoric that has resulted in 2 assassination attempts in the last 3 months, probably. I could say that that's probably right.
He'll speak to reporters in Florida this morning. Then there will be 2 Trump events in Pennsylvania.
We can all see that Donald Trump is even more unstable and more unhinged.
Vice President Harris at a rally in Michigan touting abortion rights, speaking out against bans in some states.
The men of America are seeing their daughters and wives and sisters and mothers put at risk because their rights have been taken from them.
Tonight, Harris will speak at the Ellipse in Washington, D.C., where on January 6, 2021, then President Trump spoke before his supporters stormed the U.S. Capitol. A few hours ago, Steve Bannon, who went to prison over the Capitol riot, was released. The former Trump advisor was convicted of contempt of Congress, refusing to comply with a subpoena from the Democrat-led January 6th House committee. Israel has hit Gaza with an airstrike on a building sheltering civilians. Palestinian officials say at least 60 people were killed. Israel blames Hamas for hiding militants among civilians, and the strike came hours after President Biden said,
"We need a ceasefire. We should end this war. It should end, it should end, it should end."
Ceasefire talks continue in the Middle East. America's listening to Fox News.
69 degrees, 7:02 is our time on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. There's a red flag fire warning for most of the area until 9 tonight. No excessive burning is allowed in some spots. Mayor Brandon Johnson will propose another property tax hike when he lays out his budget planning, according to City Hall sources, on Wednesday. Chicago faces a nearly $1 billion shortfall in the budget for next year. Jurors are hearing more about recordings and learning more about backroom political deals with ComEd at the corruption trial of former Illinois House Speaker Mike Madigan and co-defendant Michael McLean. Here's AM 560's Jim Talamonte.
McLean are facing 23 federal counts of corruption. In a conversation with longtime union executive and Illinois Tollway Board member James Connolly in December of 2018.
I always told these young pups when they started lobbying, I said, hey guys, you only have one client. As long as you treat that client well, you'll do real well for the people that are paying you.
In another recording, Madigan told McLean about commitments from lawmakers.
Flagenholtz, Chief and Christian Mitchell will be and Bob Rita.
Oh, yeah.
State Representative Bob Rita testified for 10 minutes last Thursday afternoon, but he did not return to the stand on Monday. In Chicago, I'm Jim Talamonte.
More than 1.4 million Illinois voters have already cast ballots with 1 week left before Election Day. There are 8 million registered voters here. State Board of Elections spokesman Matt Dietrich.
It was a week ago that Chicago and Cook County substantially expanded their early voting locations. And since that happened, we really saw the numbers surge.
Strong early voting at this stage indicates the state's voter turnout for the presidential election could equal or surpass 2020. That was 73%, the highest since 1992. The Bulls overcame a 20-point deficit in a 126-123 win over Memphis. Zach LaVine 30 in the win. Goals for Kurashev, Reichel, and Donato, all in the first period, helped the Hawks to a win over the Avalanche, 5-2. The news service of Papa Nicholas Coffee, a Chicagoland tradition for over 5 generations, Combining heritage and innovation in every cup. Hot air roasted locally, cold blended in small batches to ensure premium quality. Choose Papa Nicholas coffee online at papanicholas.com. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
The lineup for Freedom Summit Chicago 2024 just got bigger with the addition of Dinesh D'Souza. He joins Dr. Sebastian Gorka and economist Steve Moore, along with Dan Proft, Amy Jacobson, Sean Thompson, John Anthony, Jeannie Ives, and many more. This event will sell out, so get your tickets today at freedomsummitchicago.com. That's freedomsummitchicago.com. Sponsored in part by Blue Star Security, Papa Nicholas Coffee, and by the Alpha Wealth Group.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. It's a bank where relationships still matter. Signature Bank knows your name and your story. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
Hi, I'm Paul Jenkins, owner of Bancroft Architects and Engineers, a service-disabled veteran-owned small business providing design solutions for clients, including the VA. When looking for a trusted banking partner, Bancroft was lucky to find that partner in Signature Bank in 2015. With Signature, personal service goes beyond a login and a PIN number. My staff and I have the comfort of knowing that we're dealing with real people who know our business and care about us as individuals. Signature helped finance our new state-of-the-art facility, and Bancroft looks forward to further expanding business opportunities for disabled veterans and historically disadvantaged communities.
Signature Bank is looking for their next success story. To learn more about turning your business vision into reality, visit signaturebank.bank. Signature Bank, helping local businesses succeed. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Everywhere you look, things are getting more expensive. So at Consumer Cellular, we're lowering the price for those 50 and up. Now you can get unlimited talk, text, and data for $30 a line when you buy two. That's just $60 a month for 2 unlimited lines. So if you're 50 and up, make the switch and save. Come on, you've earned this. Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com today. Requires 2 lines of service, age validation, and credit approval, subject to system and area limits, taxes, and other fees apply.
I opened a gold IRA with Noble Gold Investments. There's no better vote for your financial safety than precious metals. So Noble Gold Investments is giving away up to 10 1-ounce silver Trump coins or a 10-ounce silver American flag bar with a qualifying account this month. Just use promo code TRUMP. That's noblegoldinvestments.com. Past performance may not be indicative of future results. Investing in precious metals, including gold, involves risks. Consult with your tax attorney or financial professional before making an investment decision.
Balance of Nature supplements, changing the world one life at a time.
Everything about your product is 100%. I look forward to it. I'll put it that way. I'm 71 years old. Balance of Nature is the absolute best product. I love your product. And you guys, when I call you on the phone, you're the best. So I'm very grateful.
My husband's a retired cop, and I worked in a hospital for years. I'm going out right now because I'm getting ready to paint my fence. It's just literally amazing. And, you know, you watch the TV articles and you go, yeah. Well, at least it's 100% returnable if it doesn't work. I'm not kidding you. It is the most amazing product I've ever taken.
Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com and sign up as a new preferred customer. And for a limited time, get 35% off your first order with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. Go to balanceofnature.com and get this special offer by using discount code Chicago.
7:08. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. A service of almostfreeteeth.com. Overpaying for dental implants is over. You could save 90% off on average. To get your smile back, learn more and check if you qualify. almostfreeteeth.com. Kennedy right now is at an hour 10 O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. Back out to the big airport in 45. The Ike stop and go inbound Manheim to Oak Park Avenue, 1 hour into the old post office. Debris all over the roadway on the outbound Dan Ryan. Mattresses, box springs, all bouncing around on the pavement outbound between the Burns Circle and Roosevelt Road. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. Now, your official Chicagoland weather forecast with Steve Williams.
Windy and very warm today. Clouds will give way to some sun. A bit of a high fire risk. Our high today, 83. Partly cloudy, warm breeze tonight, low 66. Windy and warm again tomorrow. Sun and clouds, a high fire threat, and the high 80. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560. The Answer.
69 and partly cloudy at O'Hare. Next news, 7:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560. The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. You know of MAGA, of course, but don't forget MAHA, a recent addition. Make America Healthy Again. The MAHA Alliance, it's a, independent PAC, has released a couple of ads here in the home stretch making arguments about below-the-fold issues that they must suspect, and they're probably correct, have some currency, particularly with women. Very interesting. Much like the women in sports issue that perhaps is having more of an impact than the left could have imagined as they tried to, like Kamala did, dismiss this as a marginal issue that is not central to what the American people are thinking about. Well, a lot of moms and dads are.
Wrong.
Well, if you have a girl of school age who likes sports, you might be thinking about it. Here's not the sports one, but another issue with respect to young women that you might be thinking about if you were the parent of one.
If you are a young adult or the parent of one, please listen carefully. The United States is closer now to World War III than ever before.
Russia, China, and Iran have announced the three nations are seeking to strengthen ties.
The alliance that's been formed should chill us all to the bone.
In preparation for war, 100% of Democrats in the House Armed Services Committee support the military drafting of women aged 18 to 25.
Congress advancing a plan to draft women into the military.
The proposals would automatically register men for the draft on their 18th birthday. It would also require women to enter.
Even so, Republican pushback is holding the bill back.
What else do we know about this population, 18 through 24? They are stupid. That is why we put them in dormitories.
Okay.
They make really bad decisions.
She's a mom.
For the love of our sons and daughters, whatever you do not vote blue.
Paid for by MAHA Alliance and not authorized by any candidate.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. Whatever you do, don't vote blue on behalf of sons and daughters. I mean, obviously, the RFK Jr., Nicole Shanahan ticket, they're almost, they border on conscientious objectors. But the issue of making women sign up, 18-year-old girls, women, sign up for the selective service, sign up for the draft, isn't that a concern? You really want to do that in the name of equity, do you? Particularly if you had this administration, if you had an extension of this administration, would that be a concern with how they're prosecuting our involvement in Eastern Europe and the Middle East? Interesting choice by Maha. One more, and this is on Kamala's record specifically and exclusively. This is what she did as Attorney General. She likes to tout her record as a tough-on-crime prosecutor, prosecuting international criminal organizations and so on and so forth. Also, apparently, prosecuting moms and dads whose kids didn't go to school, particularly the story here of one mom who had a disabled daughter, has a disabled daughter.
If you are a young adult or the parent of one, please listen carefully. The United States is closer now to World War III than ever before.
Russia, China, and Iran have announced.
That's the same one.
I have it.
Go ahead.
It's a letter. Dear Kamala Harris.
Dear Kamala Harris, let's get one thing crystal clear. The vast majority of American men have no issue with electing a female president. Our issue lies solely with you. You were second in charge of California for 13 years.
As California's Attorney General, Harris promoted enforcement of a law that allowed prosecutors to seek jail time for parents of truant kids.
As a prosecutor and law enforcement, I have a huge stick. So I decided I was going to start prosecuting parents for truancy.
I thought that was crazy. I was like, how can you lock parents up?
If you don't go to school, Kamala's going to put you and me in jail. Yes, we achieved intended effect.
I opened the door and I see at least 7 or 8 cops wanted to arrest me. As a matter of fact, they did.
And frankly, you know the prosecutors in my office who volunteered to do this? My homicide prosecutors, my gang prosecutors. And they went over there and I said, when you go over there, look really mean.
She had me arrested and prosecuted because my handicapped daughter was sick in the hospital and had missed some days of school.
I learned that with the swipe of my pen, I could charge someone with the lowest level offense. That person could be arrested, they could lose time from work, and their family maybe lose their job. They'd have to come out of their own pocket to help hire a lawyer. They'd lose standing in their community.
I lost my job and couldn't pay rent, and we got evicted.
Weeks later, I could dismiss the charges, but their life would forever be changed.
I became homeless. We had to move into a motel.
All because of the swipe of my pen.
I don't agree what Kamala Harris did to my mom, and I don't agree with what she's done to other parents as well.
You were second in charge of the United States for 4 years.
If anything, would you have done something differently than President Biden during the past 4 years?
There is not a thing that comes to mind in terms of, and I've been a part of most of the decisions that have had impact.
Inflation is hitting the highest level in 39 years. A record high number of illegal crossings.
Crime's been surging across the nation.
Huge spikes in homicides.
Could we be heading toward World War III?
After 17 years of failed leadership, you are now asking us to trust you as first in charge of our country.
I am concerned and focused on big issues. Elementary and middle school truancy is actually a big issue. If we're trying to save the state money, because of truancy, California public schools lose $1.4 billion a year in funding. I want money.
My message
Oh, my God. And her message was do not vote or trust Kamala Harris.
It's perfect. It's a perfect, that was the payoff at the end. It's about money for the institutions because this is, it's never about the families or the kids. It is about the system. Protect the system at all costs, including whatever costs are imposed on families and kids, like the maleducation that occurs in L.A. and San Francisco the same way it does in Chicago, New York, in the K through 12 government school system. The money for the schools, everybody getting their cut of what's sent to Sacramento, just like Springfield, just like New York City, or Albany, I should say, what's sent to Albany back to New York City, same concept. But that's such the tell. Everything is about protect the institutions we control, get the money to the institutions we control, and if that means we got to rough some people up, no problem.
And I know that you had played the power of the pen piece before, but she is more vindictive and sinister than I ever imagined. When you think about what she did to these families just to get more federal funding because they needed that $1.4 billion, and she thought her plan was so brilliant, and she told her homicide detectives, scare them when you get over there to their house.
I wonder what the military brass, all these admirals and generals that are denouncing Trump, what do they have to say about that first ad in particular about women being required to sign up for the draft?
Oh, yeah.
Admiral William McRaven has a piece in the Wall Street Journal. Trump fails George Washington's civility test. And he goes through some of George Washington's writings and the General Omar Bradley's reviews of the personal conduct of a soldier and so on and so forth. He talks about the great presidents who respected the office and behaved, generally speaking, in comportment with those reviews of George Washington and General Omar Bradley and others. And here's what he says about Trump. By the way, this is an important predicate to this. McRaven says of himself, I am pro-life. I believe in small government, big business, a strong military, and a secure border. And I always stand for the American flag. I am a conservative and would love to be part of the Republican Party I can be proud of, one that stands for the values, the decency, and the sense of duty, honor, and country, which so many previous Republican presidents strive for. But Trump isn't one of them, he says. Trump called Harris mentally impaired and a blank vice president. This is a former president of the United States, a man who might represent this nation again. And for those of you who dismiss this kind of language or worse, defend it, if Trump is reelected, you shouldn't be surprised if this kind of aberrant behavior continues, and everything about it will affect the future of the nation. Being a person of good character matters. Doing what is right matters, because when a leader exhibits honor, integrity, and decency, it instills those qualities in the culture of the institution and in the next generation of leaders. What will the culture of America look like if Trump is reelected? What will the next generation of leaders look like if they're followers of Trump? You will no doubt ask the same question of Harris, but you will get a different answer. You may not like her policies, her followers, or her vision for America, but Harris won't threaten the press, demean immigrants, mock those who have died for our country, break with our allies, or undermine the Constitution. Again, and in 4 years, if we are past the era of Trump, the Republican Party can rise again and provide the kind of principled leadership and followership this nation needs. What about that strong military you speak of? Kamala Harris and Biden can't think of anything that they differed on. Can't think of anything that she would do differently. Right. So that includes what's happened to the military, why they're not meeting their recruitment goals, why they're obsessed with identitarian politics, why they participated in the planned and participated in the catastrophic withdrawal from Afghanistan. Is that a military you're proud of? Political leadership of the military that you're proud of, Admiral McRaven? Oh, that's not a question he asked himself. I'm pro-life. I believe in small government, big business, a strong military, and a secure border. These are the generals that we were talking about a bit yesterday, who cloak themselves in, the founding values of America, and talk about how, some of them at least, talk about how they're conservatives, but they just can't bring themselves because the character issue. Is there a character issue with Kamala Harris? No, really. She won't threaten the press. Why would she threaten the press? The press is the comm shop for her party. Don't you understand that, Admiral McRaven? Or don't you care to look? She won't demean immigrants. Mock those who've died for our country, break with our allies, undermine the Constitution. Right. Yeah. I know. That's McRaven and these other generals have bought the Trump is going to tear up the Constitution because the left has said it over and over again. And what did he do in his first term again? Did he tear up the Constitution?
No, he did not.
This is the kind of rhetoric that McRaven and Kelly and Milley are trafficking in. Kamala on
what was that show?
Shannon Sharp's podcast with this message to black men, but in particular, but the country in general.
Blacks for Trump. They feel that Trump is better for the black community. Can you explain Donald Trump's history with blacks? Where did this come that all of a sudden, I mean, it's been like this because a lot of people used to say, I'm Donald Trump of the ghetto, because he was, I mean, for a lot of blacks, not all, but for some blacks, he was, Madam VP, whether we want to admit it or not, he's revered by some blacks.
But here's the thing. The question for everybody, should he be president of the United States?
Okay.
Right? That's the question. Should he have the ability to sit behind the seal of the President of the United States when he says he wants to terminate the Constitution of the United States. You know what that would mean? In the Constitution of the United States is your Fourth Amendment right against unreasonable search and seizure, your Fifth Amendment right, your Sixth Amendment right to an attorney.
Well, a lot of rights going to be gone. The First Amendment.
But the First Amendment, the Second Amendment. Look, I'm in favor of the Second Amendment. I don't believe we should be taking anybody's guns away.
Right. Mandatory gun buyback. Yeah, that's taking people's guns away. I mean, the whole thing is a lie. The idea that, I'm sorry, what did Trump do in his first term again? Did he tear up the Constitution?
No, he didn't.
No, instead he signed the First Step Act. No, instead he made commitments, financial commitments, taxpayers' dollars, but financial commitments to historically black colleges and universities. Yeah. Instead he pardoned people like Alice Johnson and the founder of Death Row Records that spoke at his rally, or commuted their sentences. I mean, this is just completely fabricated.
And I'm so sick of hearing, but he can't stand behind the seal of the president. Like, she repeats everything all the time, but it's all lies.
So go back to McRaven, because this is the institutional problem here. Admiral McRaven and people situated like him, donning the cloak of the post-partisan patriot when he says things and writes things, in this case, in this op-ed, that are completely incongruous. That completely run afoul of any sort of logical thread in terms of who he says he is and what he says he believes and what he is doing and suggesting others do. It's sickening. And again, you can respect the service of a John Kelly, of a McRaven. Milley is, I don't know. I'd have to review his record, because his record as a politician in uniform, as chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, is awful. But you can respect anyone's honorable military service to the country, but it doesn't absolve them of everything they do, particularly in the political arena subsequent to that service. And I'm sure the left would say the same about all the former military that are running as Republican candidates for the U.S. Senate and other offices, too. They would have their way with those with whom they disagree, although I don't know if they'd be so enlightened as to being respectful and honoring their service to the country and separating that from their political views the way that I do. But anyway, and by the way, when Trump has crossed the line, McCain and other instances, we've said so. So he's made mistakes and he's crossed the line. But the idea that that's indicative of some penchant to undermine the military is quite the opposite. Wasn't it during his first term? It was. McRaven and these guys are putting their ego before their country, the armed services. It's pathetic, and they should be called out. Pete in Elburn, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Yeah, good morning, guys. That was a great ad, because somebody asked me recently, what is fascism? It's one of those hard things to define. All you got to do is play that little snippet you guys played. That was all about me. I want this. I'm going to use homicide detectives to enforce truancy. And is McRaven wondering, what will she use the military for?
Yeah, right.
To enforce climate change issues in other countries, in our own countries? Will she turn those mean-looking people, like she said, look as mean as possible? Will she turn those people on anyone who disagrees with her or has speech issues or anything like that? And she has the nerve to talk about the U.S. Constitution. It's sickening.
She's desperate, and she's a liar. She always has been. And she destroyed California, and America could be next. Oh, wait, like they never would associate her with California, really, unless she's saying that she was a prosecutor.
Dan and Amy, Chicago's Morning Answer.
The stories you need to know to start your day. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer. A large retail store just canceled a huge order, leaving MyPillow with a ton of extra MyPillows. But you know what? That's their loss and your gain. For the first time ever, you'll get a standard classic MyPillow for wholesale prices, only $14.88. But it gets even better. For a limited time, they're going to offer their entire classic collection at wholesale prices. Get queen-size MyPillows for just $18.88. Upgrade to king-size for only $1 more. Get the body pillows for $29.88 and multi-use MyPillows for only $9.88. So go to MyPillow.com and use promo code LIBERTY or call 800-489-0201 to take advantage of wholesale pricing for the first time ever and receive free shipping on orders over $75. That's right. Get the standard MyPillow for only $14.88. They have never been offered this low before. They're limited quantities at this price, so the limit is going to be 10, and once they're gone, they're gone. So go to MyPillow.com or call 800-489-0201 and use promo code LIBERTY to get the standard MyPillow for only $14.88, the lowest price ever. AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and Amy, I just wanted to get this piece into on our discussion of Admiral McRaven's op-ed in the Wall Street Journal we were just discussing. Lee Smith, who we interviewed yesterday, the investigative reporter and author, wrote this piece back in 2021 talking about Afghanistan. It's really good, and it's really important because it implicates people, the generals that call themselves Republicans, the generals that call themselves Democrats, the generals that pretend to be post-partisan, whatever. All these generals who put ego, as I said, before military, before country. Their ego is the most important thing. Asabia wins every time. This is by Lee Smith at Tablet Mag. I'll post it to X. Democrats and Republicans are right to blame each other for the fall of Kabul. This is 3 years ago. It's a loss for America's bipartisan foreign policy establishment as a whole. For nearly 2 decades, Washington sent thousands of Americans to their deaths and spent trillions of dollars to wage a strategically pointless war. And because both sides of the political divide should be held accountable, military as well as civilian officials too, it is unlikely that anyone ever will be. Since everyone is to blame, holding anyone accountable implicates everyone. The reality is that America lost its war in Afghanistan more than a decade ago, roughly around the time when CIA officers began bribing aging warlords with Viagra. This is sick, but it's true. The Americans knew all about the young boys the tribal leaders kept in their camps. Because the sex drug helped Afghan elders rape more boys more often, they were beholden to America's clandestine service. Losing Afghanistan, then, is the least of it. When you choose to adopt a foreign cohort's cultural habits, custom for which the elders of your own tribe would ostracize and perhaps kill you, you have lost your civilization. Yet military strategists, political pundits, foreign correspondents, and even historians will spend the next several decades wondering how a gang of rough Pashtun tribesmen, galvanized by a fundamentalist version of Islam, managed to defeat the most advanced military in the world. And that's precisely the point. The problem with the American establishment is not simply that after 20 years in Afghanistan, it did not understand the country or foresee what its opponents were likely to do after withdrawing forces. More importantly, our ruling class is so alienated from its own roots that it no longer understands the character of the country it purports to lead and what makes it different, even exceptional. The evidence is that our elites sought to graft the effects of a civilization built by and for its own people, democracy, a military, police force, girls' schools, etc., onto a primitive society that had to be bribed to accept what we were offering. There is no mystery about why the U.S. experience in Afghanistan ended in failure, embarrassment, and scandal. Nor is it a mystery why the Taliban took over Kabul so quickly. They were fighting for primacy. Their victory was foreordained. I mean, it's a devastating piece in that it is so accurate, and it should be top of mind as we go into the last week here.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
At 7:37, we'll switch gears and tackle what's going on in Illinois and Chicago a week from the election. That's with Ted Dabrowski at wirepoints.org, 7:37.
We've been going back on that campaign promise. We have it. But now let's head back into that newsroom on this very warm day. It's already, 72 degrees outside? I'm confused. This is October, right?
It is. 7:33 is our time on AM 560, The Answer. And many will be watching today. Vice President Kamala Harris, a major speech planned for today in the nation's capital. Thousands are expected to gather at the Ellipse near the White House. With 1 week until Election Day, Republicans are eyeing the Commonwealth of Virginia this morning as part of controlling Congress.
Republican Jen Kagan's flipped Virginia's 2nd congressional district in 2022 and faces a challenge from Democrat Missy Cotter Smazel, while in the Commonwealth's 7th district, Democrat Eugene Vindman is hoping to ride one of the best-funded congressional campaigns to victory against Republican Derek Anderson. Speaking to Fox News Radio, Congressman Morgan Griffith believes the two races could be an indication for how election night goes for Republicans.
2 wins means we're in great shape. 1 win means we're in good shape. No wins means it's going to be a tough night.
Former President Trump is scheduled to have an event in Salem, which Griffith thinks could help Republican Hung Cao in his effort to unseat Democratic Senator Tim Kaine. Ryan Schmelz, Fox News.
Federal authorities are investigating fires at ballot boxes around Portland, Oregon, and Vancouver, Washington. The two cities are close to one another. The Vancouver box had a fire suppression system that failed to prevent hundreds of ballots from burning. Horace Zhao's ballot may have been among those lost.
People in this country are going crazy about the election, all right, and I'm really upset about that.
Police are saying the attacks were likely connected. Former Trump advisor Steve Bannon, released from a Connecticut prison just 1 week before Election Day. Early voting is underway in most states. So far, some 42 million have cast votes. The Israeli parliament today banned the United Nations Relief and Works Agency for Palestinian refugees in the Near East, known as UNRWA. The new law passed approves the controversial bill that follows allegations that UNRWA's staff members participated in the October 7 attacks last year. There's a red flag warning for most of the area until 9 p.m. Mayor Brandon Johnson will apparently propose another property tax hike when he lays out his budget plan to the city council. Sources say on Wednesday the mayor has already briefed aldermen on his plan to try and fill a nearly $1 billion shortfall. And police are investigating a shooting near Loyola University that left 2 men injured on Monday. A 28-year-old man and a 24-year-old man were hit by gunfire and are hospitalized in good condition. Bulls beat Memphis 126-123. The Blackhawks snap a 4-game losing skid with a 5-2 win over Colorado. The news service of Balance of Nature fruits and veggies in a capsule. Save 35% off your first preferred order with promo code Chicago. Order online at balanceofnature.com and use coupon code Chicago to save 35%. Hurry. Offer ends soon. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
November 2nd, 2020, marked the 100th anniversary of the first commercial radio broadcast. We're still here, and we're bigger and better than ever. You can still listen to us over this great radio station, but now there are no limitations. Your smartphone is now your smart radio. Listen to us online on the app, TuneIn.com, iHeartRadio, and Odyssey.com. Your smart speaker can find us too. With radio, there is no separation anxiety. We're always on. AM 560, The Answer.
It's Reveille. 1 week from now, the final votes will be cast to decide one of the most contentious and bizarre elections in American history. Never has a party replaced their presumptive presidential nominee this close to the election. Never has the party in power filed 4 lawsuits against the other party's frontrunner and former president during the campaign with the hopes of putting him in jail. And other than the Civil War, never has there been such a division on fundamental beliefs about human existence, our constitutional rights, and the proper role of government in people's lives. We should hope for a landslide for Trump. It would mean that most Americans are educated enough to know what America stands for and what's in our national and personal best interests. If it's a close election as expected, it means we have work to do that will take at least a generation in which to see results. A public this divided on core issues is a public uneducated in America's founding documents and civics. Here are just a few examples. It should universally be recognized that in America, we don't allow the world's population to enter illegally. We don't bail out student loans or the debt of failed companies. We don't arrest citizens in pre-dawn raids for nonviolent crimes. We don't force taxpayers to fund the immoral acts of others, such as abortion or sex change operations. We don't indoctrinate children into the LGBTQ agenda. We don't discriminate based on race in schooling or jobs or contracts. And we don't allow laws to be ignored by woke prosecutors. While there will always be disagreements on government intervention in the marketplace, guns versus butter spending, and how isolationist we should be in foreign policy, the fact that half the electorate questions the immutable truths about sex designation or property rights or individual rights or the equal enforcement of laws is a problem that must be addressed if America is to thrive. I'm Jeannie Ives. Check out The Real Story with me Sunday nights from 7 to 9 p.m. and sign up for my newsletter at breakthrough-ideas.com.
If you're living with chronic joint pain in your knees, hips, lower back, and shoulders, I've got exciting news for you.
Emmett Smith, all-time rushing leader and Hall of Famer.
Now you can get relief from pain without harmful medications and surgery. Call my guys at QC Kinetics. QC Kinetics specializes in biologic therapies that can repair and restore damaged tissue. I'm talking about natural pain treatments now available, not just for pro athletes, but to people like you.
At QC Kinetics, we're seeing patients every day who suffer from chronic joint pain but who desperately wanted to avoid surgery. We're treating joint pain with biologic therapies, regenerative solutions with long-lasting results.
Listen, it's all about getting your life back. Playing touch football with kids, walking upstairs pain-free, getting back on a job, and patients at QC Kinetics are raving about the results.
QC Kinetics. Call to learn more about restorative treatments that can get you back in the game.
Call QC Kinetics, 312-809-5955. That's 312-809-5955. 312-809-5955.
Is thinning hair or a receding hairline making you self-conscious? Try Hair Grow from New Nordic. Stop feeling embarrassed about thinning hair and start feeling your best with Hair Grow.
7:40, let's get an update on the roads. We do that, of course, in our Team Hochberg Traffic Center. And this update is service of almostfreeteeth.com. With a Blue Cross Blue Shield PPO or FEP, you could save an average of 90% for dental implants and get 100% of your smile back. Learn more and check if you qualify. Almostfreeteeth.com. The Kennedy at 90 minutes O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. The Ike an hour 5, 390 into the old post office. Dan Ryan 42 heavy minutes, 95th into the Burns Circle interchange. Tri-State accident with a right lane block. Southbound side of 294 between the Bensonville Bridge and St. Charles Road. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. Now your official Chicagoland weather forecast. A windy day ahead, high 83. Partly cloudy with a warm wind, low 66 overnight. 69 right now. Next news at 8. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
Insert Democrat socialist here.
Runs the Democratic House floor for 30 plus years running. He's promising this and he's stealing that. Where can you get that kind of money? He's using your house like his own piggy bank. You ought to know by now. You can pay off your house here in Illinois, but you can never keep up with the taxes. Oh, how it's always been the plan to have a taxpayer pay, no doubt. Not a matter of if anymore, but when you're moving out. I said, when you're moving
Top of the
out.
morning, Dan and Amy. That theme music means it's time for our weekly conversation with Ted Dabrowski, president of wirepoints.org, all things Illinois policy related. I want to go back to what we started the show with because it bears repeating. It's a real seminal moment in the tenure of Larry Snelling as the Chicago police superintendent, in my view. And this involves the details of the assailant who's been charged in that West Rogers Park shooting rampage that almost killed, or could have killed, responding police and fire, and he almost assassinated a Jewish gentleman on his way to synagogue, Orthodox Jewish gentleman. He shot him in the shoulder, and as we now know, he was standing over him and ready to execute him, and his gun jammed, and the Jewish gentleman was able to escape.
And then he left, and then he came back once first responders arrived to finish the job and shot at them. And no first responders were hit, but the ambulance was hit.
So here was Snelling's presser yesterday, what he would say and, importantly, what he wouldn't.
There was something stated from that individual while he was exchanging gunfire with officers.
What did he say?
And if I may, Chief Rossetti, you want to talk a little bit about that?
Oh, passing the buck.
Sure, without getting into anything too much, the statement that was made while he was engaging our officers is nothing that we could bring in as evidence at this point that would support any motive against his actions towards our officers as well as towards our victim.
Was it believed to be English, another language? What did he say?
We're not going to be able to put out that information right now because I want to make sure I'm not misstating anything, and so we can coordinate through the Office of News Affairs because I am certainly not going to misspeak and have there be any misunderstanding about the statement. So as appropriate, we will get that information out through News Affairs.
And then is the suspect a resident of Chicago? Is the suspect a citizen of this country?
That is still under investigation right now. Right now, we're trying to identify a valid address. So we're still working on that information right now.
How soon could you make a decision about whether hate crime charges will be recommended?
When evidence of the facts present themselves.
Now, I don't know if he's being, told or asked by the state's attorney's office to stay silent on these matters or what, but either way, he shouldn't. He knows the same thing that I know that I got yesterday from a Chicago police source and posted, but he won't say it. First of all, if the assailant indeed said Allahu Akbar, how is that not a relevant fact in terms of charges against him for the attempted murder of that Jewish guy? Secondly, we know pretty good information here, as we mentioned earlier, arrested in San Diego. He's from Mauritania.
Yeah.
Arrested in San Diego in March of 2023, was supposed to be deported. Unclear if he was deported and made his way back to Chicago or just made his way from San Diego to Chicago. That's unclear. He obtained an Illinois driver's license in May of this year and bought a purple Mazda that was located at the scene of the crime. We're trying to locate. We're trying to We're trying to locate an address on him, says Larry Snelling. I have his address. I have his current address. So Chicago police have his current address. So Larry Snelling has his current address.
Why even have the press conference then if you're not going to say what really happened?
Because you have to respond with something.
Yeah, but
I mean, you have somebody in custody, so people are going to want to know. But the choice they're making to not fully level with Chicagoans for the purpose, clearly, of trying to tamp down yet another embarrassing, high-profile public safety failure because of open borders and sanctuary city policies that implicates Jelly Belly, that implicates BLM Brandon, and it implicates their D.C. buddies. So, doing political damage control for politicians is not the job of law enforcement.
No, it should not be. Politics should be kept out of it. And they're clearly doing this because we have an election next week, and we have a Muslim allegedly trying to kill a Jewish person walking to synagogue on Saturday.
We have somebody,
yarmulke.
No, it doesn't matter that he's Muslim. We have somebody. I mean, it doesn't
here illegally. I mean,
that's what matters.
It's everything. It's the illegal issue, and it's the issue with the Gaza and Israel war.
Well,
combined.
We have no idea if that's it. I mean, he's from Northwest Africa. If he's from Mauritania, so it may have to do with just general hatred of Jews when he allegedly said Allahu Akbar and then opened fire. That could very well be the case. But anyway, regardless, what you know that doesn't jeopardize the prosecution, and none of this does, should be divulged. But that's not what Larry Snelling is choosing to do, and it's a problem. For more on this, Ted Dabrowski, thanks for joining us as always.
Good morning, Dan. Good morning, Amy.
This is, it's funny. It's another transparency issue, and very much like fiscal responsibility. Everybody talks transparency until they're in a position to affect transparency, and then they're not so committed to it.
No, I mean, what you're talking about with regard to Snelling, it's disappointing so far I tell you, he's the one guy that I've heard a lot of good things about. First
Yeah,
of
me
all,
too.
Two, right when he came on, I can't remember. I actually did a reel, Instagram reel on it. That he said things that you haven't heard from a police leader. He sounded like he's willing to take on the system a bit and not follow the rules you're talking about. But let's see what he does. I've been optimistic on him, but I don't know enough about that situation to talk about it. But you'd think that it'd be nice for a little bit more transparency. But yeah, forget it. We're not getting that right now. Not from these guys.
Thinking about the Illinois election, obviously the Cook County State's Attorney's race is relevant, but at the statewide level, there's a ballot question that you and your colleague John Klingner wrote about, the millionaire surcharge. You want to distill that for us?
Yeah, so the progressive tax failed in 2020. Pritzker spent a lot of money on it, tried to get it passed, and what was amazing about that one was that he structured it such that 3% of the wealthy people in Illinois would pay higher taxes, and 97% would get some kind of small tax cut. So he structured that progressive tax referendum, constitutional change, to pass. I mean, it should have been a slam dunk, and it didn't because people didn't trust Pritzker and the Illinois politicians. They knew that at some point that progressive taxes come after middle-class people, middle-income people, I should say, and so they rejected it. But now they're trying back again. This time they're sweetening the offer. It's not a binding referendum, so meaning it's not law, but it would inform the politicians about what's the best way to go after another progressive tax. And what they're doing is they're saying they're going to charge 3%, a surcharge of 3% on people who make $1 million or more, and they'd have to pay that 3% on the amount over $1 million. And in exchange for that, they're promising some kind of property tax relief. But that's where it all falls apart, because we know these guys they'll take the money and they'll never give that property tax relief. And then if we grant these politicians power again with a progressive tax, watch out, because we've already lost a lot of our wealthy people already, and this would chase out even more people and of course create that negative spiral that would make a mess.
So Mayor Johnson has to present his budget plan to the city council tomorrow, and lo and behold, I mean, who would have thunk it? 3 aldermen who spoke to the Tribune said that, property tax increases back on the board in 2025 to help with the budget. And I'm old enough to remember when he campaigned on this, just listening, because it's lazy to raise property taxes.
Under a Johnson administration, I'm not raising property taxes.
Well, so I'm not going to raise property taxes. That's been the lazy form of governance for a very long time in the city of Chicago and, quite frankly, around the country. We have to make sure that we're not raising revenue off the backs of working people. And that's why I'm the only candidate who's committed to not raising property taxes. Communities have been hit hard.
Are you surprised by this move with Brandon Johnson?
No, I'm not surprised. Look, he came into that campaign, had no idea what he was talking about. He thought he was going to get all these 15 different taxes, taxing Wall Street, taxing this, taxing that, and he's got none of them. And Springfield hasn't helped him at all. They've actually kind of just rejected him, told him to stay away. And so he's left with the only one that's the most efficient to do and the easiest to do, which is just raise property taxes. They can do that at the city level. And he's got $1 billion hole. He has no plan on how to fix it. His only plan will be to raid the TIFs, which is what they like to do. Raid the TIFs, and that'll help CPS as well, and hike property taxes, and that's again, it's another nail in the coffin, and more people are going to leave, and he promised he wouldn't do it. I don't know if that was that Illinois Policy Institute reel, but it was well done, because this mayor, when he was a candidate, said so many times he would not do that he was the only one that would not raise property taxes, and here you go.
Exigent circumstances, he didn't anticipate how much money he would spend, how much of other people's money he would spend on people in this city and in this country illegally. And, the COVID money is run out. So in order to keep all these plates spinning, you gotta do some things you may otherwise not have wanted to do. But what about reviving the head tax or higher hotel tax to make it even less attractive as a tourist destination? Maybe a surcharge on real estate, transfer tax for homes over $1 million. What else can we? A city income tax? How about? What about that?
Yeah, city income tax. don't be surprised at some point that might be the following year, depending on who's in power and all that. But they're going to run out of ways to keep taxing, and they're not going to reform anything. And of course, if they sign a new contract for CPS, this can put even bigger burdens on people. Because remember, it's the same households that have to pay the taxes for the city, which has $1 billion deficit, and the Chicago Public Schools, which has $1 billion deficit, and CTA, which is going to be close to $1 billion. I tell you, if you're a Chicago homeowner, you are just in trouble.
We got
you're even bigger trouble.
Yeah, and CTA, RTA. Let's fold in the suburbs. We got a call earlier in the week, or was it last week? Anyway, there's somebody with a good handle on this CTA, RTA merger gambit. That's just a way to socialize the city's flailing transportation system, isn't it?
Oh yeah, come on, it's just another way to figure out how to combine them. Then you increase your tax base, right? And that's smart on their part, of course. And they're saying they want $1.5 billion. It's and again, it's funny because I was in the private sector all my life at Citibank, and then one summer I got to work at CTA when I went back to grad school.
You did?
And I went there for 3 months.
Wow.
I was older, right? I was like in 43 or something like that.
Oh.
Any difference? Anything different in terms of culture or operation between CTA and your private bank?
Yeah, well, Citibank was a big, monstrous bank, bureaucratic as well, right? But still, I had a profit motive, and there's other things we could discuss about Citibank. But at CTA, you could just see people stand around, sit around, and do nothing. It was so heavy in terms of just people that you knew that if you fired 30% of the place, it would become much more efficient because people would have responsibility. So there's so much money in these. We talked about this. CPS has hired 9,000 new staff in the last 5 years. They're just all fat and they don't teach and they don't anyway.
Well, CTA, they ain't heavy. They my brothers, Ted. Right?
Yeah, well, yeah.
Right?
How long were you with the CTA, Ted?
Oh, it was just 3 months. It was like this internship, and my gosh, was I a fish out of water.
Did you get to drive any of the trains?
I actually got to do a couple cool things like that, but that was fun.
You did get to do it?
It was funny. What I did get to do is they asked me to create a metrics page that they should follow in order to improve operations. But I think I was doing too good of a job. They didn't want to look at it.
Oh.
So
it was a phony internship.
Did you ever have a moment on a CTA train like Tom Cruise and Rebecca De Mornay at the end of Risky Business?
Okay. I was thinking more like the holiday train. Was he driving the holiday train? And you went there and I went there.
There's a question on the table.
Okay.
Well, I
don't dodge me, Kamala.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Just trying to get a handle on your career at CTA.
Hey, real quick, I want people to just make sure they go out and look for some comments on crime by McHenry State's Attorney Patrick Kennelly, and then of course look at what's happening in Springfield, announcing that they have a 10% increase in crime. It's hard to get those numbers from outside Chicago, but it's good to hear a couple people speak up about how things aren't going well with the Safety Act.
Ted Dabrowski, President of WirePoints, wirepoints.org, all things Illinois policy related. Thanks, Ted.
Thank you, guys.
Choo-choo, Ted. He joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Listen to Dan and Amy on your smartphone. Download the AM 560 mobile app today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
If you're self-employed and purchase your own health insurance, I have some great news. From now until January 15th, the health insurance exchanges are open again. And even if you've never qualified for a health insurance subsidy before, you most likely will now. The American Rescue Plan expanded subsidy eligibility to millions of Americans who have never qualified before, even to those with high income levels. And this year, you can purchase a multi-state PPO policy, which includes access to Northwestern Medical Group, as well as other teaching hospitals around the nation. Employers who provide small group coverage also have new options, and so do seniors looking for Medicare supplement coverage. Call me. I can help.
If you're tired of calling a bureaucrat at an 800 number to help you navigate Obamacare, then you need a local expert on your side. C. Stephen Tucker from healthinsurancementors.com is someone I know and trust.
He's a 30-year licensed broker
who's been educating our listeners for more than 10 years. Steve, how can our listeners get in touch with you?
Thanks, Dan. They can visit healthinsurancementors.com or call me directly at 630-674 1551.
Dennis Prager here. Join me on an unforgettable cruise to the Caribbean this November. Imagine 9 days basking in the sun, surrounded by the stunning beauty of a tropical paradise. We'll cruise in the vibrant islands of Half Moon Cay, Curacao, Bonaire, Aruba, and more. We'll be joined by special guest Sean McDowell, and we'll both be sharing insights into current events in a way I hope energizes and challenges you. Secure your spot before spaces run out by calling 855-565-5519 or online at pragercruise.com.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
At 8:08, Jim Shorts on the Hail Mary from Sunday. And we'll talk to his alter ego, Kevin Matthews, as well.
Yeah. He has a new book, and I can't wait, and a documentary coming out. But now let's head into the newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
The Mike Madigan corruption trial enters week 4. 2 men injured in a shooting near Loyola University. PepsiCo abruptly shuts down a Chicago facility. Bulls come back to beat the Grizzlies last night, while the Blackhawks beat the Avalanche. WIND Chicago News Time is 8 o'clock.
The Capitol riot back in focus. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. Steve Bannon, a former Trump advisor who went to prison over it, was set free early this morning, hours before Vice President Harris holds a rally at the Ellipse in Washington, D.C., speaking where then President Trump spoke January 6, 2021, before his supporters stormed the Capitol. As for Bannon,
he was released from federal prison in Connecticut. Bannon was convicted in 2022 on 2 counts of contempt of Congress for refusing to comply with a subpoena from the House committee investigating the January 6 riot at the U.S. Capitol.
That's Fox's Tanya J. Powers. Now, a week before the election, Vice President Harris says that she and former President Trump have very different visions.
His is focused on himself and the past.
She rallied in Michigan.
My common sense plan will lower the prices you pay on everything from prescription medication to groceries to housing. On the other hand, Donald Trump will raise costs on you and your family.
Now, at a Trump rally last night in Georgia, the former president said,
I'm asking you to dream big again, and this will be America's new golden age. We're going to have a golden age.
And he called Democrats' rhetoric dangerous and horrible.
The newest line from Kamala and her campaign is that everyone who isn't voting for her is a Nazi.
Next hour, the former president will answer reporter questions in Florida, then campaign in 2 events in Pennsylvania. More than 46 million Americans have already voted early, but in Oregon and Washington state, someone targeted ballots, bombing drop boxes.
There was enough evidence collected at all 3 scenes that lead us to believe that all 3 incidents are connected.
That's Mike Benner with police in Portland, Oregon, where only 3 ballots were destroyed, but hundreds were burned in Vancouver, Washington. As ceasefire talks continue in the Middle East, so do Israel's airstrikes in Gaza as they target militants Israel claims are hiding among civilians. A strike early today hit a building sheltering displaced Palestinians, and officials in Gaza say at least 60 people were killed. America's listening to Fox News.
Windy, partly sunny, 69 degrees at 8:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. Because of the wind and dry conditions, there is a red flag fire warning up until 9 p.m. tonight. Mayor Brandon Johnson apparently will propose another property tax hike when he lays out a budget plan to City Council Wednesday. Sources at City Hall say the mayor has already briefed some council members on his plan. The mayor's budget address on Wednesday will be followed by weeks of budget hearings. By ordinance, a budget must be passed by the end of December. A man has been charged in connection with a shooting involving a Chicago police officer that occurred on the North Side Saturday. Alderwoman Deborah Silverstein.
Immediately after the global Jewish community observed Simchat Torah, a holiday celebrating the joy of being Jewish, a Jewish resident of the 50th Ward was targeted with violence.
Chicago police say 22-year-old Sadim Mohammed Abdullahi was charged with multiple felonies, but not a hate crime.
We don't just go in and assume that everything is a hate crime, but what we don't do is rule out the possibility that it could be.
CPD Superintendent Larry Snelling. And families voiced frustration over the abrupt decision to move students from the Dr. Bessie Rhodes School last night at a packed Evanston-Skokie School District 65 board meeting.
If I were to describe to you the past 2 weeks of our lives, it would be full of frustration
anger, hurt, and sleepless nights.
The superintendent, Dr. Angel Turner, apologized for the rapid approach. Families complain about the erratic decision-making. Bulls over Memphis, 126-123. Blackhawks beat Colorado 5-2. The News, a service of Balance of Nature fruits and veggies in a capsule. Save 35% off your first preferred order with promo code Chicago to save 35%. Hurry, offer ends soon. 8:04. Time for the AM 560 Business Beat, a service of Signature Bank. Visit signaturebank.bank for all your commercial banking needs. Now the latest from the Fox Business Network.
I'm Elizabeth McDonald, and this is the Fox Business Report.
McDonald's summer quarter was better than forecast. Its earnings and revenue are upbeat. U.S. sales rose, helped by its launch of the $5 value meal in June. However, worldwide sales declined 1.5%. McDonald's says it was impacted by the Mideast conflict and slower demand in China. The quarter ended before the E. coli outbreak this month. Pfizer is reporting a much stronger than expected quarter. Though it is known for its COVID vaccines, sales were strong for its non-COVID products, and Pfizer is boosting its forecast for the year. Royal Caribbean shares are losing ground. Its earnings topped forecast for the recent quarter, and it raised expectations for the year. However, the money it brings in, revenue, was disappointing. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Jenny Cosola, invested in you.
This radio station is always on, but sometimes you need more content that you can take with you anywhere. That's why we invented the SalemPodcastNetwork.com. You'll find all the great hosts on this radio station, plus a few more, like Charlie Kirk, Dinesh D'Souza, Trish Regan, Jenna Ellis, and Dennis and Julie. There's literally no end to what we can teach you. It's like radio on demand, and just like radio, it's always on. Go find out what you're missing. Download the app, SalemPodcastNetwork.com.
The following is not an actor, but a real-life story from Trinity Debt Management.
My debt problem started probably about 2016. I needed my life to change financially. I called Trinity, and I ended up joining based on high credit card bills and high interest rate. And my counselor at Trinity has been great, and Trinity has been helping me to get on the right path of paying off these credit card bills, bringing down the interest rate. They have consolidated my bills into one low monthly payment. And now I am finally getting out of credit card debt. So I just want to say thank you, Trinity, for showing me a better and greater path.
If you're in debt and you need help, call Trinity at 1-800-990-6976.
My name is Sharon, and soon I will be debt-free for keeps.
1-800-990-6976.
The following is a paid political announcement.
Have you heard about this guy, Donald Rainwater?
I sure have. Guy was a deadbeat dad. Total loser. Not only did Rainwater repeatedly fail to pay his child support, he filed for bankruptcy and had his car repossessed. But what did a court find he spent the money on? Cigarettes.
Hasn't he run for office twice before and lost each time?
Sure has. Maybe that's why he wants the job, so taxpayers pay off all his debts.
But there's someone even worse than Rainwater. This Jennifer McCormick character is a really out there liberal.
Yeah, she's a pro-Biden and pro-Kamala liberal. She opposed school choice, she supports boys in the girls' locker room, and did you hear what she said about Hillary Clinton?
Did you vote for Hillary Clinton?
She had some great, world foreign experience, so I did vote for Hillary Clinton.
Jennifer McCormick, she's hopelessly liberal.
I'm not voting for Rainwater or McCormick. They're both losers in my book.
Paid for by Indiana Republican State Committee, Inc.
Everywhere you look, things are getting more expensive. So at Consumer Cellular, we're lowering the price for those 50 and up. Now you can get unlimited talk, text, and data for $30 a line when you buy two. That's just $60 a month for 2 unlimited lines. So if you're 50 and up, make the switch and save. Come on, you've earned this. Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com today. Requires 2 lines of service, age validation, and credit approval, subject to system and area limits, taxes, and other fees apply.
I opened a gold IRA with Noble Gold Investments. There's no better vote for your financial safety than precious metals. So Noble Gold Investments is giving away up to 10 1-ounce silver Trump coins or a 10-ounce silver American flag bar with a qualifying account this month. Just use promo code TRUMP. That's NobleGoldInvestments.com.
Past performance may not be indicative of future results. Investing in precious metals, including gold, involves risks. Consult with your tax attorney or financial professional before making an investment decision.
8:09, let's check the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time, a service of Quick Delivery Service. Visit quickdelivery.com when you need same-day delivery of your routes. Ground delivery when you need it from safe, licensed professionals. Go to quickdelivery.com now to schedule your delivery. Carpentersville, overturned semi, Route 31 and Miller Road. Carroll Stream, an accident, Gary and Mercedes Drive. Delays on the Reagan I-88. Eastbounders will hit the brakes right at Cermak all the way to the Tri-State. Jane Addams, you're slow eastbound between Roselle and Route 53. Most of that due to slow traffic on the ramp to southbound 53. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. Now your official Chicagoland weather forecast. Windy and a high of 83 today. Currently 69. Your next news update, 8:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560. The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Before we talk about Jaden Daniels' Hail Mary on Sunday, we're going to revisit a story that we've covered before, that of Kevin Matthews and Broken Mary. And just to update people on the origins of the story, because it's like 15 years old, well, here it is.
I found this statue of the Virgin Mary lying next to a dumpster. It was too heavy to throw into the dumpster. I don't know who would do such a thing, but this statue of Our Lady caught my eye. I walked over and looked, and she's broken in half at the waist. Her hands are missing. She looked so cold and abandoned, her eyes just looking up at me. And that's when I heard a voice I'll never forget. This stern voice said, "Will you deny me? Will you deny my mother?" I ended up taking the statue. I kept her because she was broken, and so was I. I took her home and I called a priest, and he came and blessed her. And that's when the miracles began. First, I had this urge to recite the rosary. I didn't even have a rosary or know what a rosary really was. But Mary herself, she taught me her rosary. And when you recite and hold her rosary, you are holding the hand of Mary. And when you hold the hand of Mary, you're holding the power of God. And that power can heal everyone who's broken. So many people have touched the statue of Broken Mary. Some are sick, many have addictions. So many are afraid or dying of loneliness. Many have contemplated suicide, and some are serving life in prison. We all are broken. It's humbling to go to Mary and say, "Mary, the mother of Jesus, please, please, Mary, be my mother today." This world is moving so fast. Maybe it's time to stop and close your eyes and finally be with God.
That is the voice of Chicago radio legend Kevin Matthews, the author of Broken Mary, A Journey of Hope, the website ourladyofthebroken.org. And by the way, I think it was about 5 years ago, there was this huge procession with the Broken Mary that Kevin Matthews described. I think that went from St. John Cantius, my parish when I'm in Chicago, to Water Tower. It's always relevant, but there's a new development in the form of a new book, Mary's Roadie, My Travels with Mary, the Mother of Jesus. Kevin Matthews, thank you so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Oh, hey, thank you so much. We're finally speaking to one another, so it's good to. Good morning, Chicago. I miss you.
Give us a little bit of what this journey has been from the time that you described the backstory several years back and the procession in Chicago to your travels that you've memorialized in this new book.
Yeah, it's been quite an adventure. Mary's keeping me very busy, and she keeps me out of trouble. But it's such a beautiful journey. It's not a story because it's not ending. And I found this beautiful statue of the Virgin Mary that was just broken half, and since she's been put back together, but she's still broken. Her hands are missing, and basically she reminds us of ourselves because we're all broken, but we're loved by God. And when I was in Chicago with that walk with Father Josh and everyone at St. John Cantius, we had nearly 8,000 people walk from the church to the water tower, and it was beautiful because, that was a miracle itself. And the city then and is, like every American city or just the world, is broken. And it's people can relate to it, especially those who are sick. I was diagnosed with MS in 2008, and God didn't give me MS. I'm not being punished. It's just I'm here on earth. It happens, when young kids get cancer, or all the hurt, just the rain that we've been getting in North Carolina and down in Florida, and the hurricanes and whatnot. God's not doing that to punish us. Is that we live in a violent yet beautiful world, and I'm very proud of this last book because it's a journey that is so relevant to so many people, and especially I believe that society is moving at a rapid rate away from God, and when you do that, you're putting yourself up for a journey in eternity. I literally believe either you are with God at this time or you're against God.
It's sorry to interrupt, but it's interesting you say about your MS diagnosis and you're not being punished. It calls to mind this clip that has stuck with me for, I don't know, ever since he passed. Remember the great Kansas City Royals reliever Dan Quisenberry?
Yes.
He was diagnosed with brain cancer shortly after he retired, like in his mid-40s, and passed away from brain cancer. And he was asked about it, and he says, do you ever feel like, why me? And his response was, why not me? I wouldn't wish this on anybody. It's just, it's just one of those things about life, and it's difficult to reconcile. But I mean, your attitude sounds very much like his, which is pretty inspiring.
It is, and people all are saying, how are you doing, or I am blessed to have MS. I wouldn't be speaking to you right now if I didn't have MS, if I didn't walk to that dumpster. I have been so blessed because of the multitudes of people that I have met from all over the world. And I always thank God for loving me, and I give any of my suffering to Christ for the conversion of sinners. But when people say, Kevin, how are you? And I say, I'm good. I always think of those who have it even so worse than I do. Look at Steve McMichael. My friend Steve McMichael, I pray for him. I want him to go to heaven. I love him, and I'm fine. I'm putting together a book called Broken Mary, and it's for children. And we have a beautiful children's hospital here in Grand Rapids called the Boss Children's Hospital. And I love what they do there, and I often drive past and make the sign of the cross. And I want these little children, 5-year-olds, to be able to read at a simple level, that they're broken, but they're loved by God, and they're loved by their parents. they're loved by their doctors, and make it relatable for a 5-year-old or a 10-year-old or even like a preteen. So I'm very blessed to be doing this because I have no idea why I was chosen to do this, but it's an honor to be. I have such a devotion to Christ and His mother.
Well, were you practicing Christian before you found the statue?
I was Catholic. I was born Catholic. I have, since I've done all this research for 2 books, my cousin was Father John Kavanaugh, who was the president of Notre Dame.
Oh, really?
And, yeah, and we had nuns on our side. And if you saw the movie Rudy, Father Frank is a cousin. So I didn't know I had this heritage of a Catholic faith in me, but I was, Amy, it was, and Dan, I made sure that my children were baptized and, the sacrament of communion and all the sacraments. But as soon as they got older, I abandoned the church. I had something happen at a church, and I abandoned it. And when I did that, I abandoned God. The Catholic Church is Jesus Christ. We're all broken, but we're loved by God. We're all broken, even the Pope, the cardinals, the bishops, the priests, the nuns, you and I, and everybody listening. We're all broken, but we're loved by God. And I've been so blessed to be able to go around the country and speak. I've been blessed to go inside prisons and speak to lifers. And they're they take the book and they love it because yes, they've done some horrible things. When I'm talking to a lifer, he's not there because of parking tickets. But I don't ask him or her why they're there, but you can comfort them, even though they did hideous things. But as I comfort these men and women, they're now holding rosaries. And I had one inmate say to me, "I'm never going to leave. I'm going to die here." And I said, "But you look at you've gone to confession. You're devoted to Christ now. You're holding Mary's rosary." I said, "You get to choose where you go next for eternity." I often say to people, this life that we're living right now is like O'Hare Airport. And our next connection is our final connection. And we choose whether or not to go to heaven or hell. God doesn't send us to hell. We do.
And that connection's always on time.
Yeah. Yes.
So they're making a documentary. Who's making it, and when's it going to be released, and where?
Wow. And again, I met this ODB Films. I was speaking 4 years ago in Chicago, and I met them, and they liked the story, and so we just finished it about a month ago in Chicago, and it's taken 4 years to do. But it is one of the most beautiful stories. The cinematography is just so beautiful, and they're responsible. This company that I'm blessed to work with, they release beautiful documentaries. They're tied to the folks of like Jim Caviezel, who's right now doing the follow-up of The Passion with Mel Gibson, or even the Mark Wahlbergs and what's happening right now with the series The Chosen.
Yeah,
I love that because it's appealing to people that just want to see. They don't want to be yelled at. They don't want to be shamed. This is a beautiful story, and God is working in different kinds of ways now to get people's attention. The election is coming up in 1 week, and I always remind people that it was politicians, priests, and people that crucified Jesus Christ. So it's an important election, and the world is on fire right now, but God is coming. God is coming.
You had this incredible, storied career in radio, where basically everybody within the loop signal listened to you. And I wonder how you look back at those times, reflecting on your life and this journey and what the stage of the journey you're on now. How you reflect back on that career, what you think about how that brought you to where you are today, if there is a nexus there, especially the celebrity you enjoyed. This is for another big celebrity like Amy. Maybe there are some lessons to be learned. Yeah.
No, we when I was in Chicago, I arrived to Chicago the day Ferris Bueller's Day Off appeared in theaters.
How apropos.
And I had such a great time in Chicago. I love Chicago. The audience, they were my family and still are. And first of all, I'm surprised I'm alive. I think Johnny and Steve Dahl and Gary Meyer and Danny Bonaducci and Larry Ward, wow, we made it. And it was just a beautiful time. It is just, Chicago has always been a petri dish for creativity. And I was so blessed to be a part of it. And I still love Chicago. And it's funny, people condemn me all the time that, hey, if I was at it when I was in Chicago, I did golf outings. I got kicked out of 10 golf outings in 10 years.
One a year, that's pretty good average.
What did you do?
Well, think of what you have to do to get kicked out of 10 courses in 10 years. And I was 1 year.
Pretty high bar. Yeah.
Very high bar. 1 year I was for Father Smith in his orphanage, and I was looking at what was happening up on a green, and next to me was Father Smith, and he looked at me and he just shook his head and said, "It's for the children," and then just walked away. And years later, I was with him with the statue of Broken Mary and went to confession with him. He smiled and said, "I'm so proud of you."
How long did that confession take?
It just pretty quick.
What did you do?
It was, and which I love. I love to go to confession. I love the Eucharist now. I love my Catholic faith because, again, it's Christ. It's Christ. It's Christ.
Wow. I still want to know about those golf outings.
Did it have something to do with Loop Girls? I don't know.
I don't know.
No, it was beyond that. It was.
Was alcohol involved?
Oh, yeah, quite a bit. And, for some reason, Seika was with us. And
sure.
It was really,
mm-hmm.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, well,
okay,
yeah,
well,
sure.
it's over with.
As long as you repaired your divots and raked the traps, that's the only thing I care about.
Beyond that, we actually, this is how so ironic. Talk about how things come full circle. And we were in Chicago finishing the documentary just about 6 weeks ago, and the producer said, "Okay, we're going to go to a golf club because we've got interviews." Bill Wennington was golfing, and some people that they wanted to get on camera, and they go, "We're going to go out to Oak Brook," and I go, "Oh no," because I oh no, not because I've got kicked out of that course twice. Go, oh no, and I didn't make a big scene, but I got in and got out, and then we were.
Did you wear some sort of disguise, or was your picture on the wall at that point?
I'm not, Dan. I didn't go into the tea shop or anything. I literally lay low because I got kicked out of that course twice, and we still have the letter saying you are never allowed here again. And then we were taping, we were shooting film down in the Cal Sag over by Willowbrook, and right across from Willowbrook was this bar, and Al Capone owned it, and we used to go have toga parties across the street with Otis Wilson, and then
as one does, yes,
and then I'm in this bar having lunch, and the owner looked at me like, "I know you." And of course the Willowbrook since burnt down. It's just been. I love my life. I'm happy, and I just love what I'm doing. I'm so blessed to put a broken statue of Mary in the front seat of my car, buckle her up, and then just let's drive.
That's a long way from Jim Shorts. Speaking of which, I mean, not to be a fanboy, but
yeah,
do you have if you could channel your alter ego for what happened on Sunday? I mean, that's going to be replayed a million times for from here to eternity.
He's here.
He is here.
Oh, can we talk to him, please?
Yeah.
Yep, Jim.
Yeah, shut up. You know, first of all, I want to say to everybody, I'm not doing this stuff. Okay, I'm sports, still doing it. I own a casino on Beaver Island. And to answer your question, if the head coach of the Chicago Bears is listening, you should be fired. And I got to be careful.
We have a dump button.
Well, when you're taunting the Redskins or the Commanders, whatever they're called, and you're not playing football, you jackass, and then you look and go, oh, wait, I'm playing football. And then you run over and you tip it to a receiver, you are the biggest jackass. And if you worked for Mike Ditka, you wouldn't even gone on the plane. He would have come to the end zone and kicked you in the balls and say, you're done. You're done. I've said it. I have no problem with Caleb Williams. He's a good kid, but he's getting just ass kicked every game. And then I said, get rid of the coaches. The coaches are just stupid. And you know what? Really, when I see the head coach and he gets his hair cut at the barbershop at the practice field, he's more worried about how he looks. You look like a jackass. And now you got to go into Arizona. Good luck. Good luck on that one. Good luck. I love Caleb Williams, but give him a chance. Fire the coaches.
All right.
All right. Maybe Caleb Williams would be a player coach, throwback like Lou Boudreau. And Tyreek Stevenson maybe could go to confession.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, right.
He needs to do a lot more than that. You think of that. Yeah, go to confession, but go to a bar on the South Side and let everybody kick your ass.
Hey, I got one more question for you, Jim Shorts, before we let you go. My former broadcast partner, Bruce Wolf, suggests that Jim Shorts was a takeoff of Chet Chit-Chat, that Chet Chit-Chat was the mentor of Jim Shorts.
I'm so sick of Bruce. Kiss my ass. You and Steve Dahl. Oh, Steve's always saying, oh, I did that first. Everybody just shut up, including everybody, especially you, Bruce. Yeah, I know Bruce is voting for Kamala Harris.
No.
There, you just heard that first. Oh, yeah, he is. He is. I saw him at a rally.
Did you? They're easy to pick out. There's not many people at those.
Oh, well, I was just saying, I saw him at a rally because he was with 5 people. 7, including the walls. Boy, doesn't he look like he could load up a toilet and just plug it big time?
Jim Shorts, thank you so much for joining us. Kevin Matthews, thank you for joining us as well. Yeah, Chicago radio legend.
Anytime you want me to come on, I'd love to come on, okay? I'd like to have a show.
Yeah,
beautiful.
We can have a segment with you.
Yeah, we'd love the predictions. Yeah, I'd like to know where to place my money.
You can ask me anything. Ask me anything.
Although I saw you pick the Bears plus the 1.5 this weekend, and
Yeah. How about Aaron Rodgers? There's another douchebag.
Wow.
Okay, guys.
Kevin Matthews, the new book, Mary's Roadie, My Travels with Mary, the Mother of Jesus. Kevin, thanks so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Kevin, love you. Loved working with you those few times. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line. Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
8:38, now for something completely different. Wall Street Journal editorial page editor Dan Henninger at 8:38.
Can't wait, but now let's head into the newsroom. Here is Mike Scott. Mike, did you ever work with Kev?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, my brother graduated with him from Grand Valley.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
I love him.
We go way back,
Such
way
a
back
nice
to Grand
man.
Rapids, but we won't talk about that now. 8:33 on AM 560, The Answer. Former Donald Trump advisor Steve Bannon is set to be released from prison on Tuesday. Bannon will have served his 4-month prison term on 2 counts of contempt of Congress for failing to comply with a subpoena. Vice President Harris has a major speech planned for today in the nation's capital, 1 week ahead of Election Day. She was on the stump late last night.
A little time talking about just kind of diminishing who we are as America and talking down at people.
An estimated 20,000 are expected to gather today. Police in Texas have arrested 3 suspects, all suspected with ties to the violent Tren de Aragua gang from Venezuela. Billionaire Elon Musk is being sued by a Philly prosecutor for over his $1 million giveaway for registered voters. Forecasters are tracking what could become the next tropical depression or storm. The National Hurricane Center says that system is forming in the Caribbean. There's a red flag fire warning for much of our listening area until 9 p.m. tonight with the heavy winds and dry conditions. Mayor Brandon Johnson proposing another property tax hike when he lays out his budget plan to the city council tomorrow. Police continue investigating a shooting near Loyola University that left 2 men injured on Monday, a 28-year-old and a 24-year-old. Jurors will continue hearing more recordings and learning about backroom political deals, some involving ComEd, at the corruption trial of former Illinois House Speaker Democrat Michael Madigan and co-defendant Michael McLean. AM 560's Jim Talamonte will be monitoring at the Dirksen Federal Building for us today. Bulls beat the Grizzlies 126-123. Blackhawks beat Colorado 5-2. Dodgers a win away from claiming a World Series crown. They have a commanding 3-0 series lead after beating the Yankees 4-2. The news service of Trim Light Chicago. You've got to see it to believe it. Amazing, customizable, and permanent holiday and year-round accent lighting for the exterior of your home or business. It's not too late to book your holiday installation, but do it today with Trim Light Chicago. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
The lineup for Freedom Summit Chicago 2024 just got bigger with the addition of Dinesh D'Souza. He joins Dr. Sebastian Gorka and economist Steve Moore, along with Dan Proft, Amy Jacobson, Sean Thompson, John Anthony, Jeannie Ives, and many more. This event will sell out, so get your tickets today at freedomsummitchicago.com. That's freedomsummitchicago.com. Sponsored in part by Willows Academy, Senior Helpers of Naperville, and by the Illinois Family Institute.
The following is a paid political announcement.
Have you heard about this guy, Donald Rainwater?
I sure have. Guy was a deadbeat dad. Total loser. Not only did Rainwater repeatedly fail to pay his child support, he filed for bankruptcy and had his car repossessed. But what did a court find he spent the money on? Cigarettes.
Hasn't he run for office twice before and lost each time?
Sure has. Maybe that's why he wants the job, so taxpayers pay off all his debts.
But there's someone even worse than Rainwater. This Jennifer McCormick character is a really out there liberal.
Yeah, she's a pro-Biden and pro-Kamala liberal. She opposed school choice, she supports boys in the girls' locker room, and did you hear what she said about Hillary Clinton?
Did you vote for Hillary Clinton?
She had some great, world foreign experience. So I did vote for Hillary Clinton.
Jennifer McCormick, she's hopelessly liberal.
I'm not voting for Rainwater or McCormick. They're both losers in my book.
Paid for by Indiana Republican State Committee, Inc.
The following is a paid political announcement.
Family, country, community. Ed Soliday has spent his life in service to others. A graduate of Valparaiso High School, Ed Soliday went on to attend Indiana University and served our country in the Army, where he earned the Distinguished Flying Cross, 2 Bronze Stars, and a Purple Heart. After his military service, Ed Soliday built a successful career as a pilot and flight safety expert, leading crisis management at United Airlines on 9/11. Now, Ed Soliday is serving us at the Indiana State House, where he puts people ahead of partisanship. Representative Ed Soliday is a respected voice working to protect taxpayers, secure our energy grid, and attract better-paying jobs to the region. Ed is endorsed by the Indiana Fraternal Order of Police, the Indiana State Police Alliance, and the Indiana Professional All Firefighters PAC. Representative Ed Soliday. Common sense leadership for Northwest Indiana. Vote Ed Soliday for state representative on or before Tuesday, November 5th.
Paid for by friends of Ed Soliday Committee.
Balance of nature. Fruits and veggie supplements are packed with 31 frightfully good whole fruit and vegetable ingredients. Our blends help maintain your overall well-being. From the deep red cranberry to the rustic green cabbage, our special formula is no trick. Dare to discover the magical blends within. Open and sprinkle our fruits supplement powder into your cauldron brew, aka morning smoothie, or add our veggie supplement powder to your spooktacular concoction. Soup, we mean soup. This Halloween, treat yourself to a potion of wellness that's wickedly good with balance of nature.
Go to balanceofnature.com to get 35% off your first order as a preferred customer with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. And get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
8:39. Let's get an update on the roads. In our Team Hochberg Traffic Center, we will start on the inbound side of the Kennedy, where it's 90 minutes on your inbound commute. As you begin from O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange, the Ike Stop and Go inbound Des Plaines Avenue into the Old Post Office. It's 85 minutes from 390 into the Old Post Office. Dan Ryan settling in 33, 95th into the Circle. DuSable Lakeshore Drive jamming up southbound between Wilson and Fullerton. Traffic, a service of Audible. Get immersed in new worlds and ideas with Audible. Explore an incredible selection of audiobooks, podcasts, and originals. There's more to imagine when you listen. Sign up for a free trial at audible.com. Dan and Amy continue next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast. Windy day ahead today. High 83 and that red flag warning for fires. Partly cloudy, warm, windy overnight. Low 66. 69 at O'Hare. Your next news update is at 9. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560. The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Senators Ted Cruz and Rick Scott have a good piece in the Wall Street Journal, the editorial page, just documenting the Biden-Harris years by the numbers. Per the Biden-Harris inflation, a new car today costs $47,870 versus $40,857 in January of 2021, $7,000 increase, or 17%. The interest rate on an average new car today is more than 8%, compared with about 5% in January of 21, increasing the cost of a 5-year lease, or 5-year loan, I should say, by $726 a year. The average auto insurance policy costs $1,500 and change in 21. By the end of 24, it's going to hit almost $2,500, 2/3 increase. A year's worth of gasoline that cost $9.95 in 2021 now runs $12.81. The home ownership, the average home cost $304,000 rounding in January of 2021. In August, the cost was $416,000.
Holy cow.
But with mortgage rates recently at almost 6.5% versus a little under 3% in January of 2021, the total cost of buying and financing a home has more than doubled from just under $15,000 a year to just over $31,000 a year. And homeowners insurance is up, and the electric bill is up. These are all insurance. Significant double-digit increases, and people are feeling it. Thus, 80% of the country thinks the country's on the wrong track, which makes it pretty difficult sledding for the incumbent and the incumbent party, it would seem. For more on this, we're pleased to be joined by the deputy editorial page editor of the aforesaid Wall Street Journal, Dan Henninger joins us. Dan, thanks for being with us again. Appreciate it.
Good to be with you guys.
There's always a lot of issues that inform people's votes and their assessment of their political leadership. But it seems to me, after all of the bluster across all of the various issues, boy, this one is just something that Kamala and company cannot extricate themselves from.
No, I think you're exactly right. And that's what the voters will be focusing on. I mean, we've gotten down to the end of this campaign, and the last period, I think, has it's been striking. It's been a wholly negative campaign by the candidates, just basically a mammoth exercise in subtraction, unprecedented ad hominem attacks on both sides. It's become extremely personal. And to the extent people are still paying attention, it's been wearing. There's a comment you hear all the time is, I cannot wait until it's over. All that said, at the end of the day, people, the left, liberal commentators attack Trump as a fascist, and by implication that anyone who votes for Trump is somehow complicit in Trump's personality and fascism. The fact is, in the last election, over 70 million people voted for Donald Trump, and millions will vote for Kamala Harris. Those votes are made on complex personal calculations of how people see their own self-interest. And in this election, I think it's exactly as you just described it, Dan. It's about the fact that prices are high, and they affect everyone, household prices. And that is fatal for an incumbency. The prices went up during Joe Biden's administration, in large part because of the spending. And I think it's almost impossible for Kamala Harris to dig herself out from under that. In addition to the ones you were just describing, I heard about one the other day. People are receiving letters from Medicare, which is increasing its premiums this year by about 9 or 10%. This is on retired people. So those prices across the board are just weighing on the vote. And I think ultimately it's going to bring Kamala Harris down.
Yeah. And I mean, and her closing argument, to the extent that she's making arguments, I mean, I get there's ad hominem invective that goes both directions, but Trump's closing argument, though, is coming out through it pretty clearly, and it's a simple one. Things were better when I was president, and things will be better if you make me president again. Hers is Trump is Hitler. I think that, that the advantage goes to Trump with that.
Yeah, I do. And it was driven home for me about a week ago when Harris was having a campaign in Georgia, and the featured guest was Barack Obama. Now, Harris has had a lot of celebrities appearing on her behalf, right? Not just Obama, but Samuel L. Jackson, Bruce Springsteen, Spike Lee, Tyler Perry, Michelle Obama.
John Legend.
And
don't forget about Lizzo. Please don't forget about Lizzo.
Lizzo.
Oh, that's right.
About Lizzo. Yeah,
please.
And Megan Traylor, who was grinding or whatever.
But I watched Obama, and he gave a stem winder. It was vintage Barack Obama, dropping his G's, pausing for effect. And, what came across is he remains a very charismatic politician. He won election to the presidency twice. Then she comes on, and it was impossible not to conclude that somehow Kamala Harris does not have that magic element that you need to be a successful presidential candidate. There is a huge, I think, enthusiasm gap for Kamala Harris inside her own party. Otherwise, she wouldn't need to be rolling out one charismatic celebrity after another to compensate. And I just don't think it's going to be enough for her to put it across the line. She just doesn't generate enthusiasm, and that translates into turnout.
So you're confident Trump's going to win in less than a week from today?
My gut is that Trump is going to win, Amy. Donald Trump, let's make no mistake about it, rubs a lot of people the wrong way, let us not forget that during the Republican presidential primaries, when Nikki Haley was getting about 20% of the vote in places like New Hampshire, a lot of those Haley voters said they would not vote for Trump. A question now is whether all these months later they still feel that way, or whether they'll leave the presidential line blank. That one is hard to predict. I think for all the reasons we've been discussing, Trump should win this one. I think he probably should win virtually all of the swing states. But because of Trump's basically anti-politic personality, you have to just put an asterisk next to it.
Well, and in those swing states, you wrote about this. He's running a little bit ahead in most of the states, swing states, in terms of those competitive Senate races that pick up opportunities for Republicans in Pennsylvania, in Michigan, and Wisconsin, in Nevada, if he continues rolling downhill, which it seems like he is doing right now, then you could see a big night for Republicans in the House and Senate too.
Yeah, I think that's right. What has happened in places like Pennsylvania and Wisconsin with the two incumbents, Bob Casey in Pennsylvania, Tammy Baldwin in Wisconsin, is absolutely fascinating. You simply cannot discount the reality of them incorporating Donald Trump into their ads. There is absolutely no way whatsoever that they would ever think of doing any such thing unless they recognized they were in trouble. I saw an ad here the other night in New York for a candidate who came on and whose name was Laura Gillen. And as I watched it, I said, gee, I didn't recognize her. I wonder what Republican seat she's running for in Congress. It turns out she's the Democrat running against the Republican. She sounded exactly like a Republican on immigration and inflation and the rest of it. The wind is clearly blowing to the right or to the center right, and it does look as though there's going to be a significant number of Republican pickups in the Senate for that reason. A lot of these incumbent Democrats, they're running like Democratic senators. They're careful. They are members of the Senate club, and that can be fatal for Senate incumbents. That's the way Tammy Baldwin's been running, Bob Casey, and they're running against dynamic Republican candidates. Dave McCormick in Pennsylvania, Eric Holdy in Wisconsin, Bernie Moreno in Ohio. They're running good campaigns, and I think it's going to be a pretty good night for them, which would be good for the country.
Do you worry? I know these can be treated as one-offs, but they're still of concern. Nevada Supreme Court saying non-postmarked ballots can be counted up to 3 days after the election. You have a voter fraud investigation going on, criminal investigation going on in Lancaster County, Pennsylvania. That's an important county. You saw the ballot boxes in Washington State and Portland being burned. The prospect, when you see these stories and some judicial decisions, if those states turn out to be close and those and the balance and the outcome hangs in the balance, I mean that is a very concerning powder keg that might be getting lit.
There's no question about it. One of the conventional wisdoms that has emerged towards the end of the campaign, a lot of commentators have written it, is that despite all of the intensity, American institutions will survive and they can handle it. By and large, I agree with that, but for the reasons you described, Dan, one has to wonder. This is a very troubling development. Both sides, the Democrats, the Democrats and the Republicans are employing thousands of lawyers to litigate the election if necessary, and it can make Bush v. Gore look like a day in the park.
And just going back to sort of where if what we both believe will happen happens. What do the Democrats do if they get smoked electorally and with respect to pickups in the Senate and the House? Because Rui Tuchero, who writes at the Liberal Patriot, this former academic, and he's been warning his party about this for months, maybe years now too, about these unpopular policies that they just continued with despite the market feedback they were getting from voters, like with respect to borders, like with respect to profligate spending and the impact on prices. It doesn't seem to me like there's any, other than people fighting for their own survival, some of those Senate candidates you mentioned in the very short term, it doesn't seem to me like that party is ready for a course correction. He argues that the progressive moment is over, but I think the leftists in charge of that party beg to differ.
Yeah, that's right. If they do get wiped out, and they may, they really have to go back to the drawing board and reconsider all of these issues. Who's an interesting character at the center of it, Dan, is Senator Bernie Sanders. At the end of the campaign, he has been criticizing Kamala Harris for spending too much time with Lynn Cheney and attracting Republicans and not enough time appealing to the working man. And while it is true that the party is controlled by the left, and there is a lot about the left that needs to be reconsidered, Bernie is basically an economic populist. He hasn't really associated himself with the crazy wokeness and progressivism that I think is indeed fading in popularity, as Teixeira suggests. And Bernie, can't imagine him running for president again, but I think he's in a position to be an arbiter over a party that has to somehow appeal to the working man, but at the same time offload some of the craziest ideas that they've been pushing lately on equity, gender, justice, and climate.
Dan Henninger, deputy editor of the Wall Street Journal's editorial page, his latest column, Democrats Run a Bait and Switch in the 2024 Senate elections. Check it out. Dan, thank you as always. Appreciate it.
All right. Good to talk to you guys. Bye-bye.
Thank you. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
It's what Chicago is talking about. It's Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy on AM 560. The Answer.
Following is a paid political announcement.
Family, country, community. Ed Soliday has spent his life in service to others. A graduate of Valparaiso High School, Ed Soliday went on to attend Indiana University and served our country in the Army, where he earned the Distinguished Flying Cross, 2 Bronze Stars, and a Purple Heart. After his military service, Ed Soliday built a successful career as a pilot and flight safety expert, leading crisis management at United Airlines on 9/11. Now, Ed Soliday is serving us at the Indiana State House, where he puts people ahead of partisanship. Representative Ed Soliday is a respected voice working to protect taxpayers, secure our energy grid, and attract better-paying jobs to the region. Ed is endorsed by the Indiana Fraternal Order of Police, the Indiana State Police Alliance, and the Indiana Professional Firefighters PAC. Representative Ed Soliday. Common sense leadership for Northwest Indiana. Vote Ed Soliday for state representative on or before Tuesday, November 5th.
Paid for by Friends of Ed Soliday Committee.
The following is a paid political announcement.
Crime is up in Illinois, and I'm not sitting back to wait and watch dangerous, radical left policies destroy Kane County. I'm Andrew Sosnowski. I have over 35 years of experience with prosecutions of crime, advocating for victims and children. I'm the independent prosecutor in the race for Kane County State's Attorney, and I will work to end cronyism in the office. I will root out the causes of crime, collaborate with law enforcement, and be the lead county prosecutor who will fight for our freedom, safety, and security. Vote for the only law and order candidate, me, Andrew Sosnowski, for Kane County State's Attorney on Tuesday, November 5th. Early voting starts September 27th and runs through November 4th. Go to SosnowskiForKane.com to learn more. Remember, without safety and security, we do not have liberty. I'm Andrew Sosnowski, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Sosnowski for Kane Committee.
Does your advisor share your values? With the United States more polarized than ever before, shouldn't you invest your time and money with patriotic Americans who have a similar vision for success? DovetailWP.com. At Dovetail Wealth Partners, we focus our practice on helping people who support the United States Constitution. and believe in the greatness of our republic. We don't think any American should rely on the U.S. government to take care of them, so we show our clients how to invest wisely and generate tax-efficient income for their retirement. DovetailWP.com. Dovetail works with accredited investors, small business owners, and other successful professionals to build customized portfolios, create bulletproof financial plans, and integrate multiple financial services that allows our clients to live stress-free throughout their retirement years. Please visit our website at dovetailwp.com to find out how Dovetail can simplify your success.
Kids headed to college? Paying for college and avoiding student loan debt has never been more challenging. Hi, I'm attorney Ray Kaplan from Kaplan Law Firm. Our student loan consultants will help you plan smarter for college by navigating and understanding all available student loan options. Schedule a consultation today at 312-294-8989 or go to financialrelief.com. The rules around student loans have never been as complex as they are today. Kaplan Law Firm, 25 East Washington Street, Chicago. Financialrelief.com.
AM 560, The Answer.
So, Dan, did you, when you cut your hair, did you save any of it for locks of love? Or?
No, I didn't. It's all was left on the cutting room floor, as it were.
So, did you get it done before the flotilla or after?
It was before. I got it to cut the end of last week, if you must know.
Okay, just see.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks so much for making this part of your morning. Thanks to Justin Kosick and Quinn McCarthy. Enjoy this day. We're going to have record-breaking warmth, a high near 83 degrees. It's now 9 a.m. WIND Chicago.
This is a Fox